Rocky Mountain High. Boy, the scenery here in Colorado is absolutely breathtaking. And so is the competition in the Busch Series. Take a look at the point standings. After 14 events, just 9 points separate the veteran Mike McLaughlin from the youngster Matt Kenseth. Dale Earnhardt Jr. 36 points more back in third spot. And look, just 82 points separating Jason Keller from Elliott Sadler, 6th from 10th. Hello, everyone. I'm Jerry Punch, along with the 1997 Busch Series Rookie of the Year, Steve Park. Glad to have you with us. You know, last year, Steve, the Busch Series guys went to 4 new venues: California, Gateway, Texas, and Las Vegas. This is the first new track they visited in 1998. What do the drivers think about this place?
Really, what the drivers have said is that this place really reminds them like a small Michigan or a small California with the wide sweeping corners. It's going to make for some good two-wide racing today.
Big concern, as you've already heard from some of the drivers, about tire wear, and the problem is not too little grip, it's actually too much grip.
That's exactly right. There is too much grip, and with Pikes Peak being a new racetrack, the new pavement has a lot of grip in it, and with the new tires having a lot of grip, it creates excessive heat. And Thursday we saw some excessive wear on the left front tire, but that seems to have gone away over the weekend, and the guys are hoping to go about 80 laps.
Well, with that command, the field of 43 will roar to life. When we come back, we'll take a look at the Suzuki starting lineup and wave the green flag. Get set for some mile-high memories, NASCAR style, coming you next from Pikes Peak International Raceway. Cool.
Can we talk?
Nice job in the pits, guys. Have a great show.
You too. You too. Yeah, have a good one.
Field is rolled off behind the pace car. Take a look at our Suzuki starting grid. His first ever pole in a touring series of any kind. 26-year-old Matt Kenseth will lead him down alongside Joe Bessie, looking for his second win in 1998. Back in row 2, the 1996 Craftsman Truck Series champion Ron Hornaday starts inside. Beside him, his best ever qualifying in the Busch Series for Jeff Crow. Back to row 3, the talented second-generation driver Dale Earnhardt Jr., flanked by Elton Sawyer, who's looking to finally break that victory drought of some 4 years. Jeff Purvis inside of row 4, the defending 2-time series champion Randy LaJoie. Back in row 5, Curtis Markham subbing in the Dennis Shoemaker car for Dick Trickle, and he is flanked by Herbie Sadler's DeWalt Chevrolet. Tim Fido inside row 6, and Tony Stewart, he won here in the Indy Racing League race back just a month ago. Back in row 7, Wayne Grubb, the pole sitter from last week's Richmond race, and finished 4th. And of course, former Rookie of the Year, Jeff Fuller. As you look at the rest of our starting lineup, 43 cars will start. A full field here on this 1-mile oval. And Steve Park, these drivers have been raving about how smooth this racetrack actually is.
Yeah, they have, and they love racing here. They said that with the corners being as wide and sweeping as they are, they're going to be able to really do some racing out there. And and they really complimented on how smooth it was. And you'll be able to see today by the in-car cameras how smooth it actually is.
Everybody has a different idea what this racetrack is. Is it a small Michigan? Is it a small California? Is it a reconfigured Homestead? It sort of has a characteristic all of its own. It is wide, it is smooth, and it is fast. The pole for Matt Kenseth, as you saw, 134.193 miles per hour. Provisional starters, Johnny Chapman will start 43rd. All right, it's a 1 mile D-shaped oval, Pikes Peak International, the front stretch and back straightaway. That gives you the D-shape. The front straight is being a little bit longer. The banking 10 degrees in the corner, 7 the front straightaway, and 3 degrees in the back. 250 miles, the inaugural event. The pole speed you saw for Kenseth. Fuel, not a major factor. They can go 120 laps. The big question mark is tire wear. And look at that Purvis. How about Lex Dudas and company out here? $912,000. All right, our onboard cameras, Patty Moise in the car number 14, starting 37th. Shane Hall in the Big A Auto Parts camera, starting back in 23rd. Stanton Barrett starts 17th in the Channel Lock Chevrolet. Tony Stewart, the Bridge and Stratton in-car in his Shell Pontiac. He starts 11th. Hermie Sadler's Peebles Department Store in-car camera starts 10th. And our pole sitter, Matt Kenseth, the Lycos.com Chevy. Field out of turn 4 for the green flag.
Kenseth got a great start there and he's out in the lead down on the backstretch there. Joe Bessie's going to have a hard time getting back down to the bottom of the racetrack, which is definitely the fastest groove. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can get down there, especially with Dale Earnhardt Jr. wanting to get in there.
And indeed, Matt Kenseth will lead the first time by. This is the 4th race of 1998 that Matt Kenseth has led. Of course, he has won already, winning at Rockingham in that wild finish with Tony Stewart. Now Joe Bessie looks to the inside of Ron Hornaday Jr. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is right behind Bessie.
I'm sure Joe's real happy. He's able to get back down on the bottom of the racetrack, and for now, with all these fresh tires, that's going to be the fastest way around. So you're going to see if somebody gets shuffled up to the outside that he's going to probably not gain any positions, and he's going to go the other way towards the back.
Spotters reporting there was some contact on the first lap involving the cars of Joe Bessie and Matt Kenseth. Probably that's why Kenseth tried to go ahead and pull away. There is Jeff Purvis in the Lance Chevrolet.
And Ron Hornaday. We have an actual truck driver in the race today, Ron Hornaday in the 59 car.
Ron, of course, the 1996 Truck Series champion, currently 2nd overall in the Craftsman Truck Series point standings.
That's also Jeff Crow up there in the 56 car that got settled in. Looks like he's running somewhere in the top 10.
Boy, and Joe Bessie just slipped big time. Off turn 2, went way up across the racetrack, nearly gathered the wall, and he will lose the position. 2nd spot being taken away by Dale Earnhardt Jr.
I think that was the opportunity that Dale Earnhardt Jr. was looking for. And like we said earlier, it seems like early on, if you slip up, you're going to lose some positions. And Joe really tried to, looks like he was trying to gain on the leaders and lost a spot.
All right, here's the Briggs & Stratton in-car camera running along with the Shell Pontiac of Tony Stewart. Both Stewart and LaJoie, as you heard, missed happy hour yesterday. They were in Michigan running in the International Race of Champions, so these guys have not been on the racetrack with all the rubber that was put down after that Remax Challenge Series. NASCAR event yesterday, this track quite a bit different than when these guys last practiced.
It is, and the way the track even changed in happy hour, you saw a lot of the speeds change with a lot of guys that qualified up front, so I think they're going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage missing happy hour.
There's the Hermie Sadler car. She's riding along now with Tony Stewart. Tries to sneak to the inside here.
That's a great shot there, too, with that Briggs & Stratton in-car camera.
All right, looking back out of the Peebles department store machine, that's the rear bumper cam for former Rookie of the Year Hermie Sadler. Looking back on LaJoie. Talking about rough years Randy LaJoie has had it. He has not had a start this year inside the top 5.
It's good to be able to come out here to Colorado and even see Randy run good.
All right, here's the battle waging up front as Dale Earnhardt Jr. has reeled in the Lycos Chevrolet of Matt Kenseth. We talk about the incredible youth movement in this series. Of Of course, Steve, you were there a year ago as Rookie of the Year and made the move very quickly in the Winston Cup. I got to believe both these guys will stay put at least a couple more years.
I don't know about that. The guys in Winston Cup are getting pretty hungry for young drivers, and Matt Kenseth and Dale Earnhardt Jr. have showed some extreme amount of talent this year, and I think this is a sign to the future right here.
All right, Earnhardt makes the pass entering turn 1. Made it look easy. Is there a problem with Kenseth? Let's check in with John Kernan.
Jerry, Matt Kenseth's chassis is not quite like he'd like to have it right now, just a little bit tight. He saw the Dale Jr. was back there really anxious to get up front, so I think he just backed off a little bit. Coming down here into turn 1, said, okay, Dale Jr., you go ahead and take off because my car is not quite right. Just a little bit tight.
All right, Kenseth's car not wanting to turn in the corner, as John Kernan just found out. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is our leader in the early laps at Pikes Peak International Raceway. Back with more in a moment. Back at Pikes Peak International Raceway here in Fountain, Colorado. Exciting battle for 12th position. Our current points leader, Mike McLaughlin, trying to move to the inside of our reigning series champion, Randy LaJoie. Let's check in the pits with Marty Reed.
You mentioned Randy LaJoie, Doc, and I had a chance to talk to him. I said, you know, we've been in the sunshine all weekend long, and now we got clouds rolling in. What's that going to do to the track, and what will it do to your cars? And he says, well, when you figure it out, you come let us know. He says, we have no idea.
Obviously, the car not to his liking. He gets a challenge now from Wayne Grubb, youngster, 21 years of age, from just outside of Richmond, Virginia, who sat on the pole last week and finished 4th in Richmond in an impressive run. That's a battle for 13th spot. McLaughlin, who started 16th, is up to 12th. There is Tony Stewart in the 44 car. Stewart qualified 11th and is running 11th. Look back out the Briggs & Stratton rear bumper cab of Tony Stewart's machine. Mike Magic Shoes McLaughlin.
Mike is probably one of the smoothest drivers on the tour, and I think that's really going to help him today here with the tire situation. And I don't think you're going to see him really racing anybody hard, maybe until late in the race.
Not only is he racing for the win, he's racing for a championship. And not much margin for error because the guy that's chasing him currently is running in 2nd spot on the racetrack. This Curtis Markham in the car number 64, the Snyder trucking machine, subbing for Dick Trickle.
And it looks like we got Tony Stewart giving Tim Feeder a little bit of a push down the front straightaway.
Stewart now in 9th position in the 44 car. You heard his story early on. He got his first Indy Racing League victory here last year. Said he hoped to get his first Busch Series win here today. Zipped off to Michigan yesterday to run the International Race of Champions, where he finished 3rd. Now Jason Keller makes a move inside of the 74 car. Keller and that Progressive Motorsports team picking up a sponsor for this event. Folks at Tempest Resorts decided to come on board and help Jason, that crew. After a great run, they've had a couple of 5th place finishes this year. 2 top 10s the last 2 outings, a 9th at Dover and a 6th at Richmond for Keller. As he fades slightly, let's check in and see what's going on with LaJoie. Back to John Kernan.
Well, I just talked to his crew, and they said Randy was complaining that the car was a little bit too free, a little too loose, getting into the turns. Now, Steve, maybe if you could explain this, I guess he has to really back off on getting into the turns, otherwise risk, what, spinning out?
Yeah, it's true, John. I mean, the guys have really been complaining about the cars really getting loose off into the corners here and being a little bit tight off. So in order to get the car good from the middle off the corner, they've had to have him real loose getting in. So with him missing that happy hour practice late yesterday, they probably made a little bit of a miscall.
Steve, a lot of the teams are talking about the fact that in happy hour yesterday, with all that bias ply rubber down from those Remax Challenge Series cars, the track went from very, very tight to very, very loose, and they made a lot of radical changes.
Yeah, they did. And you saw a lot of cars up on jack stands yesterday, which is unfamiliar in happy hour. And really the guy's changing a lot of shocks and a lot of springs, trying to get readjusted to the track after that race. And the bias ply tire puts down a little bit of a different rubber than the radial tire does that Goodyear brings here. So these guys search and search for the setup. So that's why I feel it's the guys who's done the most homework is going to end up in victory lane today.
Battle for 25th position. That's the Channel Lock Chevrolet. Looking out the back of Stanton Barrett's car. Stanton driving today for Doug Taylor, subbing for Kevin LePage. There's a look at Stanton, currently 25th. Had a good qualifying run. His best finish this year, 8th at Bristol, Tennessee. Making his 9th start here in 1998. I tell you, I love this racetrack. It reminds me a lot of a small Michigan. Shorter straightaways, but really, really wide turns. Lots of room to run 2 wide. We've even seen some 3 wide in practice.
Yeah, we have, and it is a pretty amazing place. I mean, the guys were saying how far they have to stay out to the wall before they head off down into the corners, and that's what's making the cars loose a lot of times. And then the corners are so big that they spend so much time exiting the corners that the cars really like to tend to head up towards the wall.
Here's a look at the Channel Lock Chevrolet. Trying to hold off the efforts of Mark Green. Right behind him is Kevin Grubb, younger brother of Wayne Grubb. But what a nice job the Grubb brothers did last week in Richmond.
Yeah, Wayne did a great job. Qualified on a pole and ended up finishing 4th. And that was a great run for a rookie. And he's not only a rookie in the Busch series, but he hasn't run many races last year. I think he only ran about 4 or 5 races last year. And he's just really come on strong this year, and that team's really come together.
Taking a look at our ESPN field summary, the number in parentheses is where your favorite driver may have started today. See the paint job on the car number 37, the Timberwolf machine. They will be going back to their old green paint job, I'm told, as of next week. That's the Clarence Brewer car of Mark Green. Their best run in 1998, a 7th at Texas. Well, the guy they're chasing, guess who? Dale Earnhardt Jr. is our leader. As we've got action all over this racetrack, 25 of 250 are complete. Back at Pikes Peak International Raceway, caution flying for the first time today on lap number 30. And that's the reason that car number 80 having trouble with the turn 4 wall. A close encounter of the concrete kind, unfortunately, for Mark Krogh, a young driver out of Idaho, the Clearwater Forest Industry Chevrolet. And that will bring out the safety car.
We're going to take a half turn out of the left. Pits are open.
And I'm sure, Steve Park, a lot of drivers we're talking about that love to see a caution early, be able to come in and take a look at some of those tires. And we see at least one car peel off as Earnhardt stays on the racetrack.
Yeah, this might be a little bit early for these guys to come in right now. All the cars seem to be handling good, and with all the practice they had in happy hour, they were pretty satisfied with the tires. So I'll be really surprised if you see a lot of these guys come in this early.
Well, Jeff Purvis is in. Here's Elliott Sadler down, Buckshot Jones, and the Alka-Seltzer Pontiac. Jeff Fuller. The Lance team, Johnny Allen and company now will make a chassis adjustment on the car number 4. And I'm sure a lot of crew chiefs will be running down and taking a look at those tires as we check in there with John Kernan.
And Jeff Purvis just a few laps before this caution had complained that his car had gotten extremely loose. So they made air pressure adjustments, also track bar adjustment on the car to try and tighten it up. A good full tire change for Purvis, and he is down and away.
There's Elliott Sadler getting his service done. He was the only Busch Series driver that actually tested here, tested in late April, just after Talladega.
Yeah, to add on Elliott's situation, he was loose on acceleration coming off the corner, so they made the adjustment. This yellow came out because he was starting to lose a lot of ground. We're also waiting for Jeff Krogh to come into the pits, as they may keep him out now. They may stay on that track position.
To the first caution flag today on lap 30. Car number 80 having some contact with the concrete up in turn 4. Well, if you're a race fan and have always had the desire to experience what it feels like to be in Richard Petty's race car, maybe Marty Reed has found just a solution for you.
So you say you want to drive for the king? Well, you can get your chance at 6 locations around the country at the Richard Petty driving experience, one of them being here at Colorado at the Pikes Peak International Raceway. Home base is actually Las Vegas, and Steve Putstock What is it about this program that has lit up fans across the country?
Marty, this is the first program of its kind. It allows people like you and I to get behind the wheel of a real Winston Cup stock car. Everybody knows how expensive it is to get into racing these days, and we all love the sport. The sport is bigger than it's ever been. And now here's an opportunity for us to get behind the wheel of a car and actually drive the car. Steering wheel's in our hand, gas pedals under our feet. We're in there all by ourselves, and we're flying around some of the best facilities in the United States.
Thing to point out is 50,000 people have taken part in the program so far. So if you ever have any ambitions of dreaming that you're John Andretti driving the number 43 for the King, this is as close as you're ever going to get.
All right, thank you, Marty. You know, Steve Park, you've been to a driving school. Not only are they fun, but you actually can learn a lot.
You can, and it's not just for the average person that just wants to take a ride in a Winston Cup style car, but it's also for a driver that might want to learn a little bit more about Busch or Winston Cup racing. And not only do they just let you take rides around the racetracks and all different parts of the country, but they actually teach you a lot about the cars and teach you a lot about driving.
You know, Jeff Gordon talked about coming from open wheel ranks down to take a driving school before he ran his first Busch race at Rockingham, and it certainly helped him a whole lot. Take a look at our field summary here. Dale Earnhardt Jr. stayed out, did not pit. Kenseth, Bessie, Hornaday, Krogh, Sadler, Sawyer, McLaughlin, Markham, and Stewart in the top 10. Once again, the number on the right side of their name is where they started today. See, Kevin Grubb started 31st, is now in 22nd position. As we get set for a restart, glad to have you with us. Jerry Punch along with Steve Park, John Kernan, and Marty Reed.
Green.
Carl Simmons waves the green flag on lap 35 after 4 laps under the yellow.
Well, just that camera shot right there just reminds you of Michigan, with how wide the racetrack is and how the guys come off in there 3 or 4 wide and then settle into one lane.
Speaking of going too wide, here is Kenseth making a run.
Still out there. Still there. You're backing up. You're clear. You're clear.
All right, Kenseth spotter saying, all right, you're clear. You can pull back up. Boy, what a move by Matt Kenseth on the restart.
Yeah, he did. He got a good start. Got a good start at the start of the race, and now a good restart. But I think as soon as his tires get hot, you're going to see him drop back. Dale Jr. looked like he had a strong car and hot tires.
Hornaday all over the back of Joe Bessie. Ron Hornaday, second ever Busch Series start. He drove for the Tadgett Schechter team up at Nazareth. Qualified on the outside front row. Was caught in an accident early. Gives a little bit of a bump. A little bit of the chrome doorbell on the back of Joe Bessie, and makes the pass.
You heard a little bit of the bump and run move, and that was just executed to perfection right there by Ron Hornaday.
Speaking of making the pass, we have a new leader. As that was happening, just down
Three has reported that he's blistered a right rear, so just be aware of that, man.
Well, now the news disseminated to the drivers from those tires that have come off some of the cars that pitted, and the concerns are now becoming real. And speaking of tires, let's check in with our pit reporter,
We're just starting to vibrate this lap.
Well, Jerry, you just heard on the radio Robbie Rogers saying that about Purvis blistered to right rear. This is the right rear tire of Jeff Purvis's car. Just look at this. This just chunks coming right out of it. This was a concern of a lot of the teams. That's why during happy hour on Saturday, a lot of them went through not just one heat cycle in scuffing it. They actually did a couple. Some of them even did 3 heat cycles, just trying to get the heat into the tires. They cool down. They get a little bit harder. But this right rear tire on Purvis's, man, after 30 laps, I'd be a little bit worried.
Boy, I would be too, Steve Park. You saw those tires. As a driver, when you hear them tell you that they've got blisters at 30 laps, by the way, Matt Kenseth, we watch this great battle, continuing up front, Kenseth retakes the lead. As a driver, when they tell you that we saw significant blistering on the right rear at 30 laps, what goes through your mind?
It causes reason to worry when you're sitting inside the race car, trying to feel how the car's handling, and what it's going to come down to is whoever has the best handling car that's all 4 tires so they're the most efficient is going to be the car that's going to be able to run up front.
All right, Marty Reed, more on the blistering situation?
Well, not so much on the blistering, but those cars that didn't stop. I checked in with 3rd place, Ron Hornaday's team. Now, remember, this is a truck racer. His vehicle is a lot different than his Busch car. And they were saying, hey, we set it up for the long run. He's reporting no problem with the tires. And, Steve, I don't know about you, but I was surprised that we thought everybody would stop that first opportunity because they just want to check their tires. And a lot of the front runners stayed out.
Marty, you're right. We kind of figured that they'd come in within 50 laps and check their tires, but I really felt that their cars have felt good enough to stay out there. So I think if another caution comes out, you'll see everybody hit their pits.
Gotta wonder if that might have been a problem that put the car number 80, Mark Krogh, into the wall. Brought out the first caution flag. 40 laps in the books here of 250. Matt Kenseth is our leader. We'll be right back. Back at Pikes Peak International, that must be our signal for caution flags. We go to commercial in the yellow wave. This one a pretty hard hit in turn 2 by 27-year-old Matt Hutter, leading Rookie of the Year contender. Meanwhile, while he's sitting there waiting for some wrecker service, we will have service on pit road as the leaders head down at 45 miles an hour. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Yeah, we're standing by for both the 56 of Jeff Crow and the 59 of Ron Hornaday. They both come in at the same time, and there will be tire changes. And wow, I'm looking at the left front of Jeff Crow's car. He has got some extreme wear on the left front. I'm going to be interested to see if he had to lock him up to avoid something, or they're taking a little bit of tape off the front too. We're worried about some of these cars putting too much tape, because remember, the air is very dry here. And that right front, yeah, it's got a little graininess to it, but so far the right side rubber, the one that takes the most stress, seems to be OD on the 56 car. He's back out.
Well, the first pit stop of the day for most of the lead cars, the 88, and the 20 coming back down. Blaze Alexander in the car number 20. There is Matt Kenseth. The big concern we talked about with the tire wear, Steve Park, was the fact that they maybe were a little bit too soft on the left side. The left front was wearing out, and that was putting more stress on the right side tires.
That's exactly right. What happens is when the left side tire wears out, it makes the right side tires work twice as hard. And some of the problems we were seeing was the left side tires graining, just like Marty said, down in the pits, and that's what will really make the right side tires work even harder.
All right, our leader is the Lance Chevrolet of Jeff Purvis, who pitted on the first caution flag back on lap number 29. He was one of a handful of cars that pitted, so he did not come in. Let's show you why the caution came out for Matt Hutter, our leading Rookie of the Year contender. He got a little help, I think, over in turn 2. May have had some contact. Hard to tell from that angle, Steve, because the car was already starting to spin sideways, but some of our spotters said he may have gotten a bit of a tap. Let's see if we can see, watching from the onboard camera of Stanton Barrett.
It's still pretty hard to see, because he was pretty much sideways before the camera angle got to it, and the in-car camera couldn't really show far enough ahead. So it's going to be hard to pass false judgment on somebody that's or wrongly accuse somebody that put the 36 car in the wall.
Exactly. If you don't see it, don't talk about it. The Rhodes Furniture in-car cameras and others. We're riding along with 6 different drivers today here in the early laps. The Lightcoast.com 250. Taking a look at some of the drivers here. Jimmy Kitchens, great run so far. Only his 3rd Busch Series start. Currently 2nd. Started back in 32nd position. The Dr. Pepper machine subbing for the injured Jimmy Foster, driving for the Irving, Washington team.
Yeah, and Jeff Green fills in every once in a while in that car also. And I had the opportunity to talk to him the other day, and he's a really nice young man.
And here is a team, Steve, that needs a break. Tracy Leslie, they have had 3 different engines go away this weekend. The Lysol 200 or Lysol Chevrolet for the Hubert and Jeff Hensley team. So they certainly are having a good run. Here are some of the substitute drivers we were talking about. The driver in the car, the left side of your screen, Hornaday driving 59 in place of Robert Presley. Curtis Markham in for Dick Trickle. Jimmy Kitchens, you saw a moment ago, running 2nd for Jimmy Foster. And Stanton Barrett driving for Kevin LePage. 3 of those 4 drivers were in Michigan for the Winston Cup race. And we have checked in on the car number 80 for Mark Krogh. He did not have a tire problem. He just had the car get away from him in turn 4 on lap 29. That's what brought out the first caution flag today. So our excellent pit staff of Marty Reed, John Kernan have checked on that as we get set for more green flag action. Here is Shane Hall on pit road for an unscheduled stop. They go beneath the hood on the car number 85, the Big A Auto Parts machine.
That's not a good sign when they go in the hood that early. They might have burned off a spark plug wire or something that they're messing with right now that hopefully they can get it fixed, but it looks like they're getting ready to go green.
Hopefully Steve Addington can get that Don Stegall car back down.
Green.
Second caution flag, 6 laps, so we restart here on lap 51 of 250. Side action back there from some of the cars that have pitted, including Relive and
Let him go to the cars behind him. Finish. there now.
You can hear the
There you go,
spotter
you
tell
got
them
her.
it's clear. And it's important for them to get back to the bottom of the racetrack like we talked about earlier. And this is no longer a battle for the lead. This is a battle for 11th with the two same cars with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Matt Kenseth.
You're right, Steve. The top 8 cars in this field as we restart pitted under the first caution flag. Not this caution. That's why we have Jeff Purvis out front. Jimmy Kitchen running in
They're
second
behind
spot.
him. They're behind him.
Jeff Purvis in the Lance Chevrolet. Second race he's led in 1998. A 2-time winner in Busch Series competition. His last victory coming back in August of '96 in Michigan. He also won from the pole at Richmond a couple of years ago.
And Jimmy Kitchens, he actually gave up running the ARCA race out of Michigan and come out here to Colorado, Pikes Peak to run the Busch race, and he's having a great run running second behind Purvis.
Kitchens only has 2 previous Busch Series starts. He ran Indianapolis Raceway Park back in '94. Also ran Rockingham in '96. So former track champion at Birmingham International Raceway, BIR.
And he'd love to get an opportunity to run in this Busch Series. He's run ARCA for a while and has done very well. And he's kind of testing the waters here now, and hopefully something will come along where maybe he can be, or maybe he could run for Rookie of the Year next year in the Busch Series.
You know, although he ran a limited schedule in ARCA, he finished 5th last year in Michigan in the ARCA race. But he wants an opportunity, as you said, Steve Park, to run the Busch Series.
And that's why he's here. He decided really to put behind him the ARCA race out of Michigan and to come out here and try to make more of a name for himself. And I'll tell you what, he's doing it today.
3 wide, and right in the middle of that sandwich of race cars was Tony Stewart. Oh, Stewart not wasting any time. He dove in the middle, and 2 other cars became the meat in that sandwich, but made the pass. Now you see behind him Jeff Fuller. There's Patty Moise and the Rhodes Furniture Ford Taurus. There's the 44 car of Tony Stewart. The Shell Pontiac owned by Joe Gibbs. Here's the view from Hermie Sadler's machine, the Peebles department stores on board. Hermie being shown back in 25th position, surrounded by race cars.
You know what's neat about Hermie Sadler? This is his 154th consecutive start. He has not missed a race since October 24th, 1992. That's a pretty good stat to have.
Well, he's sort of the Terry Labonte of this series, the Iron Man.
Yeah, he is.
Mark Green at the left side window of Hermie Sadler. There you see the cars that Sadler is following, trying to dive to the inside of Patty Moise. That would be for position. Moise is running in 22nd spot. It was last time by. Now she loses a spot or 2. As Sadler goes by. Ronnie Silver is the crew chief for Patty Moise. We ride along with Patty's in the Rhodes Furniture machine. Ronnie Silver was the crew chief for Michael Waltrip when he won the inaugural NASCAR race out here last July, the Winston West event. Patty slides way up across the racetrack. The car obviously not handling very well, but we got a battle brewing here for second spot as Tracy Leslie goes high, the Lysol Chevy. Second, third, and fourth, Steve Part, and Buckshot by making an early pit stop has put himself in pretty good position.
That he certainly has. That was great strategy to make that early pit stop for him, and he started in the 25th position, and now he's moving up into the top 5 and really fighting for a second spot. So Tracy Leslie's making a great move on the outside, and Jimmy Kitchen's being a little bit careful. He hasn't made a lot of starts in this series, so he doesn't want to make too many mistakes.
We're talking about Tracy Leslie, who's having a great run right now up in the second spot. Talked to his crew chief Jeff Hensley earlier today. He said yesterday afternoon they actually got to make a run and get 83 laps on a set of tires. They had already been through a couple of heat cycles. He said they looked great. It looked like they could almost go an entire fuel run, which would be around 110 to 120 laps. So Jeff said he hoped to get an early caution, come in, take on some tires that he had a couple of heat cycles in, and then go for a long run, because a lot of times in races, tracks such as these, the middle part of the race, you don't see too many cautions. So Jeff Hensley, trying to play a little strategy, came in under that first caution, took on tires, stayed out after the second caution, and right now he has his driver, Tracy Leslie, up in the second position in pursuit of Jeff Purvis.
All right, Great side-by-side action. Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to make a move on the car number 52 of Kevin Grubb. There's Elliott Sadler's Trop Arctic Phillips 66 Chevrolet, the Gary Bechtel-owned machine.
And there's Matt Kenseth also. These guys have done a great job really working their way from the back after kind of pitting after all the other guys pitted early and keeping their nose clean, working their way back to the front.
All right, we're still in the early laps here at Pikes Peak International Raceway. Mile high up in Colorado. Back with more NASCAR action in just a moment. Stay with us. Back at Pikes Peak International Raceway in Fountain, Colorado, the Lance crew got to like what they're seeing. Their driver, 39-year-old Jeff Purvis, is our leader. Having started back in 7th spot, currently leading, has led 20 laps in the car number 4.
He looks like he's actually stretching that lead out a little bit. Early on, Tracy Leslie was kind of catching him, but I think Jeff's been able to stretch it out.
Well, Jimmy Kitchens is missing from that picture there. He was running among the top 3 or 4 a moment ago and went to break. He had a couple of scary moments on the racetrack.
Remember we were talking about the track being a little loose? That's a little loose right there. And he did a wonderful job saving that car. I mean,
boy, if that's a little loose, I'd hate to see a lot loose.
I'll tell you what, for a guy with limited experience on radial tires, he did a well of a job saving that car.
Boy, indeed, what a nice job Jimmy Kitchens did.
He might have to pit for a Dr. Pepper now.
All right, here's Matt Kenseth, our leader. Actually, Kenseth being shown back in the 6th position and started on the pole. Battle for 2nd spot. Let's update the situation on the 0-0. He did indeed pit. The 0-0 at Buckshot, who tries to make a move now on Tracy Leslie for 2nd spot. He did pit under the first caution for a tire change on lap 29. He also came back in on lap 45 for fuel only.
Well, they're all around you.
So he's the only guy that, to my knowledge, in the field that's been on pit road twice here in these early laps.
And the strategy worked. He just moved into 2nd. His car looks strong. So I think he did what we thought people were going to do early on. Get in, take a look at them tires. And then with the short amount of laps between the first pit stop and the 2nd pit stop, decide to gain track position by only putting fuel in the car and getting back out.
And speaking of tire wear, during the commercial a moment ago, John Kernan told us that after that pit stop, the right rear tire on Tony Stewart's Pontiac was completely blistered. It was worse even than Purvis's car. So a lot of crew chiefs have told their drivers, you have got to be careful. Hopefully it'll get better as more rubber comes on the racetrack, but well, that's got to concern you as a driver.
It's definitely a concern as a driver, but I think with the pit stops these guys have been able to make, the crew chiefs have been able to adjust on the cars and get the cars to kind of use all 4 tires to their efficiency, and that's what it's going to take to really have good tire wear here in Colorado.
Back in the 4th and 5th place cars, there's Earnhardt Jr. in 4th position. The 5th, the car number 52. Great run by the youngster Kevin Grubb out of Mechanicsville, Virginia. He is just 20 years of age. That's a brand new car for Earnhardt Jr., by the way. Brand new Ronnie Hopkins machine. They debuted out here. Tony Urey and the crew getting that car dialed off the wall. There's the youngster Grubb, just 20 years of age. He and his brother Wayne impressive last week at their home track in Richmond.
These two young guys, they got a big future ahead of them, not only in Busch Grand National racing, but in the future Winston Cup racing. With the amount of talent that they've shown in not a lot of years, in just 20 years, is incredible.
Well, as you watch this battle here, the clouds are beginning to move in a little bit, right, Marty Reed?
Not only clouds, guys, I hate to say this, but we've already felt a few drops down here on pit lane. And over behind the grandstands from our position, that's where Pikes Peak is located, and that's where the afternoon storms come, usually between 3 and 5 Mountain Daylight Time, and I can already see some showers activity over in that region. Keep your fingers crossed.
All right, Marty, one more rain report and you're out of here. We don't want to hear anything about bad weather, but unfortunately, and it has been gorgeous all week long out here. We have not had the first raindrop. Absolutely beautiful. And the weather, it's a little warm, but you get a nice breeze, Steve, and all the NASCAR competitors and fans just loving their visit to Pikes Peak International Raceway.
This is probably some of the nicest weather I've seen in the whole country traveling around on the Busch Series. So it's amazing how dry the air is and how warm it is, and just with the mountains in the background just makes for a nice setting or a nice place to be.
Let's give a call to Andy Santerre, the young rookie driver who started back in 30th spot and is battling right now in the 15th position with Wayne Grubb. Santerre, the 29-year-old driver, with a low muffler brake machine.
That doesn't surprise me. This track really resembles the corners resemble New Hampshire, where Andy won a lot of races. So this doesn't surprise me that he's up front. I think as the race goes on, they get a chance to tune on that car. He's going to have a good chance of finishing the top 10.
And there again is Wayne Grubb, currently in 16th spot, the Link Belt Construction Chevrolet. Bobby King is the crew chief for both he and his brother Kevin Grubb. And if you missed our telecast last week of the Hardee's 250 at Richmond, Wayne Grubb was the pole sitter and finished fourth. Well, with 77 of 250 laps in the books, threatening skies are overhead, but Jeff Purvis continues to lead at Pikes Peak.
Clear all around you. Good and smooth. Now let us get us a good rhythm down. Good and smooth. Easy on the tires. Good and smooth.
Welcome back to Pikes Peak International Raceway here in Fountain, Colorado. Just a half a lap ago, the 00 of Roy Buckshot Jones made a move, really courtesy of a slower car. He made the move on the inside of Jeff Purvis and got hung up beside a lap car to make the pass. See if we can show you what happened just a moment ago.
Well, this is Buckshot down on the inside of Jeff Purvis, and it looks like Jeff Purvis got stuck behind a lap car, and Buckshot was able to get by on the inside pretty unscathed.
And we got trouble in turn 3, between turns 3 and 4.
Far down the straightaway. I don't know if it's
car.
a gear or what, but just, I mean, I'm losing car length at least every straightaway, so needs to be a little freer. I don't know if it was that satisfying.
All right, Tim Fedewa's car comes to rest over there as we bring out the caution for the third time. To check in with John Kernan.
Hermie Sadler just came in and pitted a few laps ago. This is the right front tire. Look at this. The tread completely gone. We were talking a major blister off the right front tire. He had to come in, and this is with only 35 laps on the tire. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Well, you want to talk about some delamination. The Goodyear guys are really concerned about this. This is the tire, the right front also, that came off of the 66 car of Elliott Sadler. And you can see, I mean, this thing's a mess. He was lucky to make it back, guys.
Speaking of lucky to make it back, here's the power team Chevy Monte Carlo of Joe Bessie. He was involved in that incident. Right side damage. He did jams the brakes on, slides into his power team pits. Now the crew will go to work on that car. Tough break for the driver who started on the outside of the front row. Bessie's car number 6 sustaining some right front damage, right side damage. As the crew now working on the right of that machine, and Steve Park, you see those tires, it makes you gotta make you glad you're sitting up here today.
Yeah, you're not kidding. I mean, with all the tire trouble that they're having, we didn't think we'd see it this late in the race. We thought we might have seen this early on. Go ahead, John.
John Kernan.
Jeff Purvis is in, making a 4 tire change. They've already completed the work on the right side. They'll come around the left side. They also made a chassis adjustment. We want to get a good look at the right rear tire because Jeff had reported in. He thought he had blistered it. Now they drop a lug nut off the left rear tire. They have to get it back on. But because it's under caution, it doesn't really hurt him. I just get a quick glance at the right rear tire now. Just see, well, it doesn't look as bad as the last time. And remember, this is with about approximately 45 to 50 laps on it, but the right rear doesn't look that bad.
Well, we are working the third caution flag today due to the spin up in turns 3 and 4 by Tim Fedewa. Also involved was a Joe Bessie, car number 6. Now, Fedewa came into this event 9th in the points, just 3 points behind Hermie Sadler in 8th spot. So that contact will cost him dearly. There's a look again at the Lance Snack Chevrolet. James Finch owned car. You saw Johnny Allen and the crew working a moment ago in the pits. As now more cars come down pit road. There is the 00 of Buckshot Jones, our Alka-Seltzer Pontiac current leader. Let's go to Marty.
Yeah, guys, and they're going to roll the dice. Ricky Pearson has decided to keep Buckshot out there. Now, he also is aware of the delamination on the right front.
Ricky,
so
this 66 car, his problem was the same as ours.
So there you can hear him talking.
Tore up on the side like ours.
So you can hear everybody talking on the radio. They're very much aware, and the 66 is already back in the pits. They're topping off, and they're going to get left side rubber. But Buckshot's going to stay out because they think the rain is coming. They want the track position.
Well, we have checked with the track facilities up here in the tower. It tells us that what's behind us is only
We didn't have much of a choice there to stay out.
Only
so
a
this
small
rain's
shower.
coming, I'm telling you. And halfway is 125 laps. And that's only about 35 laps.
They're talking about the rain showers.
That's Ricky Pearson, his crew chief, talking to Buckshot Jones. And the crews from where they are can see back across the main grandstands behind us, as Marty said a moment ago. And that's where the showers are coming from. Now, we are being told it is only a light shower. However, the clouds look pretty ominous from there. You see some of the clouds on the left side of your screen. We'll see if the strategy will play out for Roy Buckshot Jones staying out. A lot of concern about tire wear and weather. We'll unravel it when we come back. Back at Pikes Peak International Raceway, and the skies are threatening behind the racetrack. Coming across the Rocky Mountains there, Pikes Peak, but looking due east, it looks pretty clear. Hopefully this shower will maybe miss us as we check in back in the pits once again with John Kernan.
And what you see there is the right front tire off of Joe Bessie's machine. It blistered, it went flat, and he hit the wall down here in turn number 1. And consequently, Joe is now behind the wall. The crews are working on the car. Joe, I guess you're okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Just disappointed. Boys worked awful hard. We've had a good car since we unloaded here. And just a little bit loose in that first run, and tightened it up just a little bit. Just about time we tightened it up, the clouds came over, and just these tires are really, you can't abuse them at all, and they just right front gave up going down into 1 just as the yellow came out.
All right, that's Joe Bessie behind the wall for now, and he made a point whenever the clouds rolled in, guys. I mean, you could feel the temperature change, and I bet the track temperatures dropped significantly, because remember at the start of the race, whenever we had the sunshine, it was pretty warm. Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car was loose. Once the clouds came in, he radioed in and said, hey, this is great. My car's perfect now.
All right, lots of racing action to come your way. Coming up, big weekend in Bristol action. Thunder Valley, Bristol, Tennessee. Next Saturday, NASCAR Dash Series action at 4:30 Eastern Time. And of course, following that, the NASCAR Truck Series action, the Load Handler 200 at 7 Eastern Time. That's coming up next Saturday from Thunder Valley. As we go back to green flag racing action, Roy Buckshot Jones, the 5th race he has led in 1998. Here on lap number 91, the restart. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 2nd spot. Mike McLaughlin makes a move for that position.
You're going to see Dale Earnhardt Jr. try to fight his way back down to the bottom of that racetrack. You can see being stuck up on the outside. That's not the preferred line, and he's going to have to get down to the bottom and just maintain his position.
As a battle for 2nd position, the 34 car on the inside, the 3 on the outside, and McLaughlin, the point leader, will take the spot away.
Mike was real happy with his car yesterday, and he thought he could go 100 laps on a set of tires. So I think his setup's going to work, especially towards the end of the race.
Had some contact there a moment ago. Car number 74 getting a little bit of a tap from behind as the 44 was going by. Tony Stewart was there.
Still there. Still there.
Brad Knopfsinger. They got a little bit of contact a moment ago with Randy LaJoie. We'll show you again what happened.
Well, it's like we talked about earlier, a little 3-wide racing with Tony Stewart down on the bottom, just squeezes the 85 there into the 74. So it just shows you the professionalism of these guys, and Randy LaJoie right there did a great job saving this car.
I said Brad Knopfsinger. That was actually Shane Hall in the Big A Auto Parts Chevrolet. My apologies to Brad. That was Shane that got squeezed up there, and both Shane Hall and LaJoie did a great job to hang on to those cars.
I got it. Okay, sorry, I was just checking with something. Let me get this. You know, normally they are allowed three sets per position under caution. Because of the tire problem we're seeing, NASCAR has now decided, in the interest of safety, they're adding another set, so they'll get 4 sets of tires per position under caution. Now back to the 3 car. Apparently it's cooled off a little too much, because right after they went back to green, Dale Jr. radioed in and said that his car was very, very tight. Let's go to Marty.
Yeah, let's give a tip of the hat to 38, Elton Sawyer. He's running 4th right now. They've switched over to the Roush motor. This is their 4th race with it so far. They've had 2 top 10s out of 3 races. They're running 4th right now. They tightened up a little bit. They've made the adjustment. He's running a very steady 4th right now.
All right, Elton Sawyer currently running in 4th position. He's been awfully good all weekend. I heard great in practice, great in qualifying in the Barbasol Ford, and said he would hope that he's got a 4-year drought. He hasn't won since 1994 at Myrtle Beach. Man, I'd love to get one here.
Yeah, he would. And these guys, if anyone's worked hard, these guys have. And I'll tell you, Elton's a great guy. I got a chance to talk to him the other day. They switched from Keith Roberts Motors over to Roush Motors, and they've been real happy with the switch. And they just really wasn't looking for horsepower as much as they were looking for consistency to get towards the end of these races.
All right, the car number 34 is a 2nd place car. That's Mike McLaughlin. The 66 car, that's Elliott Sadler going a lap down. He has gone a lap down to the leader. 00 Buckshot a moment ago. 66 is a lap car. The 3 car is the 3rd place car. And the battle for 4th position, well, now it's Tony Stewart trying to make a move to the high side of Elton Sawyer.
Tony Stewart's done a great job. He's kind of made his way to the front here, and even after missing happy hour yesterday, we thought maybe he wouldn't run as good as this on the long runs, but he seems to be getting good tire wear and working his way towards the front.
Only his 11th start in 1998 for Tony Stewart, a 2nd at Rockingham and at Loudon, a 3rd at Dover. And now he takes the position away. He is in 4th spot here at Pikes Peak.
Elliott Sadler must be disappointed. He was one of the only cars that came out here and tested, and when I talked to him, he felt he had a really good car in the long runs and that the tire wear wasn't going to be a problem. And then we see Tony. He's just doing a wonderful job.
There is Roy Buckshot Jones. 1 win this year coming at Loudon, New Hampshire, but after that one, the last 4 events, they have had terrible, terrible luck. 33rd at Nazareth, 29th at Charlotte, 19th at Dover, and 30th at Richmond. But right now, he is leading as we have 99 of 250 laps complete. Buckshot, the man they're chasing. Back at Pikes Peak International Raceway, I'm Jerry Punch along with Steve Park in the booth, Marty Reed and John Kernan in the pits. And there's our leader, the 00. Started back in 25th position. And thus far, as the clouds begin to move in and it gets darker and darker, Ricky Pearson's call to leave him out there looks like a good one.
Yeah, it certainly does. He's really stretching his lead out, and you got to remember he won New Hampshire. And New Hampshire, the corners there are very similar to here, like we talked about earlier. So I think they're going to have a car to beat here towards the end.
There's Mike McLaughlin, the 2nd place car. Little E, they're starting to call him. Dale Earnhardt Jr. said he likes that nickname. They call his dad Big E.
Yeah.
They called him Little E.
And it fits him. I mean, he's not a tremendous man. He's kind of a smaller type guy, so Little E fits him perfectly.
All right, here's Tony Stewart as you ride along with the Briggs and Stratton bumper cam. Let's check in with Marty.
Yeah, and the Shell team down here is really happy with this cloud cover because it is saving their tires and it has brought the racetrack to Tony. You can see by his performance, he's moved into 4th. They hope these clouds stay for the rest of the race.
All right, right behind Tony Stewart, the 38 car of Elton Sawyer, the Barbasol machine, Bob Sutton, Brad Akins, Eddie Pardue has really got that car dialed in for Elton Sawyer. Behind him, the 74 car, 2-time and defending series champion, Randy LaJoie.
Randy, he was really looking for a good finish. I talked to him earlier. He felt his car was pretty decent. He had a good qualifying effort and thought he'd really be able to race well today.
Tell you, car's having a pretty good run is Phil Parsons, the Duraloop Chevy. Phil, there he is, currently in 7th spot, started back in 21st position. He had a great race at Richmond last week, but lost a lap early and ran awfully well to the rest of the night. There's Matt Kenseth, our pole sitter, the Lyco Chevrolet, back in 8th position.
It seems like Matt hasn't been able to make his way through traffic like the Little League. He was, they were bumper to bumper there earlier, but Dale Earnhardt Jr. seemed to be able to weave his way through traffic and work his way back up to the third position.
All right, the ninth place car would be the 83. There is Wayne Grubb. Started in 13th.
Racing his brother.
That is Kevin in the 52 car. Kevin is actually in 10th position. So the brothers Grubb. Kevin, the 52 car, is 20 years of age. Wayne is 21, about to be 22, and he is about to be in 9th spot.
That's showing some brotherly love, unless he's going to pit right here.
All right, here's Mark Green, started back in 28th position, currently 11th spot in the Timberwolf machine. By the way, Wayne Grubb has made his way down the pit road. As you look at Jeff Purvis, who started 7th, back in 12th spot, the James Finch Lance Snacks Chevy. All right, let's check in once again on the pits with Marty Reed.
Well, guys, you just mentioned the 37 of Mark Green. He had gotten up to 9th, and one of the guys from the pit crew came tracking me down and said, hey, we made it to the top 10. And he rolled his eyes and said, finally, they've been fighting that car all weekend, and it's nice to see them getting a good run going. John Kernan.
Marty, I mean, Wayne Grubb's been just came down pit road. I'm telling you, I know they run the air pressure really low on the left side tire, but when you hold in here, that left front tire looked like it was very close to being flat. In fact, that's the tire that the crew's looking at right now. So I'll check on that and see if, in fact, he did have a left front going down.
And John, as he leaves, Andy Santerre comes on the pit road, so still a lot of concern about right side tires as you watch Phil Parsons now begin to make a move.
And you talk about concern, that's that 3 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is running up in the 3rd position. He's faded back a few spots, and we don't know if he got a little bit loose or if he's starting to experience a tire problem here. But it looks like Phil Parsons going to overtake him, along with Tracy Leslie.
That would be for position for the 7th spot. Here comes Little E back on the outside. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Phil Parsons, a 2-time winner.
I'll tell you what, most of these Busch guys call him the Big E when he's behind the wheel of that car, I'll tell you. He reminds me a lot of his dad when he was younger, so I think you're going to hear a lot about this Dale Earnhardt Jr. in years to come.
And Big E's got a big C. I heard he's got a big contract. Got a 2-year contract with a 3-year option, he told me yesterday in the garage. Although somewhere somebody put out he had a 5-year contract with a 5-year option. That's
well, I also heard they didn't ask him to sign it, they made him sign it. They had all these other Winston Cup guys looking at him, wanting to hire him or put him under a contract that when he was ready for Winston Cup that they wanted him to drive for some different teams, but his daddy sat him down and put together a contract he was happy with, and he ended up signing it.
I know he wanted to be there anyway. He wasn't going anywhere. Blood's a lot thicker than that checkbook.
He loves where he's at, and he loves racing this Busch Series, and I'm sure he's going to finish out the year, hopefully winning the championship. We'd love to see it back at Dale Earnhardt Incorporated for him to really go on and win a championship this year.
That is Steve Park, who drives for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated in the Winston Cup ranks, the Pennzoil Chevrolet driver, and this is the Busch Series effort. Speaking of Earnhardt, let's check in on their pits once again with John Kernan.
Jerry, I just talked to Tony Uri, Little E's crew chief. He's a little bit upset. He's talking about, they need to change tires about every 40 laps because Dale Jr.'s tires starting to go away. Said they weren't told that they were given that extra set to use under caution until after all the other cars had pitted and they were getting ready to go back to green. So he's just a little bit upset about that because they've got quite a few laps on this set of tires.
Well, I'm sure NASCAR has taken a long, hard look at it, and it is not Goodyear's problem. Goodyear came here with a tire, and it's just so much grip on this racetrack. They're showing so much temperature that they're getting the blistering problem. It's a problem we see with a lot of new tracks and new asphalt, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a similar tire that they used at Richmond, Gateway, Myrtle Beach, and Indianapolis. And they didn't have any trouble at Gateway under the extreme temperatures we ran out there.
All right, here is our leader, the 00, Roy Buckshot Jones. We are 9 laps away from the halfway point at Pikes Peak International Raceway. Back with more in a moment. Back at Pikes Peak International Raceway, there's the young man who was our pole sitter. Right now he is battling for his life and 4th position.
Yeah, he is. He tried the outside a lap earlier, but looks like he decided his car would work a little bit better on the inside. He got by Tony on the inside, but Tony's fighting back on the outside, and here comes Rennie LaJoie.
27-year-old Tony Stewart in the 44 car. It's a Pontiac. 26-year-old Matt Kenseth in a Chevrolet. Side by side for 4th position. And right behind him is LaJoie and Phil Parsons in 6th and 7th.
I don't know if this is the right thing to do this early on in the race. We're approaching the halfway point, but these guys look like they're fighting it out for the rain. They see the clouds coming in, they see it getting darker, so they're going to try to gain as many positions as they can before it starts raining.
And we are just 3 laps away from the halfway point here at Pikes Peak.
Hilarious.
Great racing action. The fans here in Colorado so excited about having this 1-mile facility here. Lex Dudas and the company have built an absolutely gorgeous racetrack. Fans treated to exciting NASCAR Rematch Challenge Series action yesterday. They were on their feet for the final 10 laps of that one, and now exciting Busch Series action here at Kansas once again.
These guys aren't thinking tires.
All right, bud, just starting to shake again.
Joy is riding right on his bumper, so you can't pull in right behind him.
Well, you'd think this is Hickory Speedway or South Boston, where they're running side by side, just inches away.
You're not kidding. This is just what we predicted in the beginning of the show, that these guys are going to be able to race 2 and 3 wide. And just early on, right before we went to the break, we saw Ron Hornaday pull one of his patented moves and go 3 wide down in turn 3.
Got him, you're clear.
All right, this battle you're watching, that is 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. The third place car is the 38 of Elton Sawyer. Now here's LaJoie on the inside.
Squeezed it right in there. Let's see if he can make it stick. He's pointing them by. The 44 just pointing them by. You're going to see him try to save his tires and get back down to the bottom.
Clear. Hey, Bertie, NASCAR's talking about giving out another set in addition to the one they already have.
They're talking to Steve Bird, who was the team manager for Randy LaJoie. NASCAR has already given a 4th set. They normally limit it to 3 under the caution, but because of the temperature they've seen here, they've now gone to 4 sets. Here's a battle for position, and we have just gone past the halfway point. Lap 125, that time by. Third, 4th, 5th, and 6th spot. Now as Tony Stewart has dropped back to 7th. Let's check in once again with Marty Reed.
Well, Buckshot Jones may like this cool temperatures. He's running away. This is another tire, the right rear from Elliott Sadler's car. He had to come in again and make another stop, so he has lost even more ground. So Elliott, who had made a vow that he would not shave until he wins a race, looks like that beard's going to be around for another week, guys.
Steve, you see the marks on that tire, and it had a 250 on one shoulder, a 235 on the other. Obviously, what the teams do is they come in and not swing, they do their tires off the car.
As soon as that tire comes off the car, they probably do a temperature barometer to see what temperature the tire is running in 3 positions on the tire. That tire is obviously running too hot at 250 degrees, and that's why we're seeing the blistered tires.
2790.
All right, our leader is the 00. Our AutoZone race recap shows that Roy Buckshot Jones has led 46 of 128 laps. There have been 6 lead changes, 3 cautions for a total of 16 laps. Our lap leaders, Buckshot, Jeff Purvis, Earnhardt Jr., and Matt Kenseth. Along with off the track, we'll show you Bobby Hillin and Joe Bessie. Out of the race,
89.
Day Hunter, Krogh, Tripp, and Taylor, along with Russell Chapman and Rick Corelli. Those are the cars that have gone back to the garage area and called it a day. 130 laps are in the books at Pikes Peak International Raceway. Roy Buckshot Jones are leader. McLaughlin, Kenseth, LaJoie, and Sawyer in the top 5. Crowd on hand here at Pikes Peak International Raceway, seeing the inaugural Lycos.com 250 Busch Series event, enjoying this action just past the halfway point. Lots of racing action to come your way next Sunday at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific on ABC Sports. NHRA Drag Racing, the Pontiac Nationals from National Trail Raceway in Hebron, Ohio. Events include the finals of Top Fuel, Funny Car, and Pro Stock. Defending champs, Top Fuel, Gary Skelzy, Funny Car, Tom Hoover, and Pro Stock, Tom Martino. NHRA Drag Racing on ABC coming up next Sunday. Well, the clouds that were coming over actually have started to move a little bit north of the racetrack up toward Colorado Springs. And so hopefully that will miss us. One thing we're not going to miss is this battle for 8th position. And Hornaday in the 59 car tries to make a move.
And he's been running 10th for a while, moving up, and man, that is some close racing action.
Jeff Purvis in the car number 4.
Hornaday's not one to really rub a door on somebody or anything, you know. So I think you'll see him work his way to the front if he gets near these guys.
Hornaday, well, come back again. Hornaday's not one to what?
To rub a door on somebody. he wouldn't intentionally do it. Let me say that.
No, neither would the guy you drive for either. Some guy named Earnhardt.
That's right.
That's Steve Parker.
He figures donuts are those things you get down at the bakery, not the black marks they put on the side of the cars.
There you go. Steve Park, expert analysis. Last year's Busch Series Rookie of the Year. All right, how about Tony Stewart? Let's update where the Shell Pontiac is running. He has fallen back to 7th position. Apparently they have gotten word from their team to basically cool their jets a little bit because of the concern over tire wear. Brian Frazier apparently communicating to his driver. Let's check in their pits with Marty.
Well, one of the things, it's not so much the tire wear, Doc. I just checked with them. They're falling off into the 28-second range on their lap time. He says the car has started to tighten up on him.
As you watch his hands on the steering wheel, Steve, if the car is tight, that means it doesn't want to turn.
Yeah, and that's why you see his right hand there, you know, turn over the center part of the steering wheel when he goes in the corner. So the car doesn't really want to turn that well. And right now, I think his concern is to just slow down a little bit, get to the next pit stop, and not overheat that right front tire and have it blow out.
Tony Stewart, defending Indy Racing League champion, a winner here in the inaugural IRL event at this racetrack a year ago, finished 3rd in the IROC race yesterday. By the way, congratulations to Jeff Burton on his win in the IROC race at Michigan yesterday. And congratulations to Mark Martin on his win today. Up at MIS, his 4th win of the year, 26th in his career for Team Roush. All right, how about back toward the front? There's a 17 car in the 10. They are in 4th and 5th spot. Kenseth and Phil Parsons. There's the 74 and the 34. They are in 3rd and 2nd.
Note I've noticed, Jerry, these guys have moved up on the racetrack. They're off the bottom of the racetrack trying to run a higher line to let their tires cool down or not wear them as bad as they were earlier on.
There's the on-track interval. Between McLaughlin and LaJoie, you see it is narrowed down to less than a second, 6/10. That's about a half a car length. Mike McLaughlin in the 34 car, the Gould's pump machine.
I'll tell you what, looking back from Hermie's car, Randy LaJoie's got a great race car. I mean, he's pressuring Mike McLaughlin now for the 2nd spot. We haven't really talked about him much. He was running 7th for a while, and now all of a sudden, when these guys started drifting back on some of these older tires, he's been making his way to the front.
It's the battle for 2nd position. Two-time and defending Busch Series champion LaJoie in the FINA Chevrolet, the Bill Baumgartner-owned machine. Let's check in on his pits with John.
Well, Steve, you just said it looked like he had a great car. Just talked to Steve Byrne.
Still there.
He said Randy says the car is still pretty, it's extremely loose getting into the turns.
Still there.
So it's amazing he can run as well as he can with a very loose race car, but he does look awfully fast as he tries once again on the inside. It looks like he's got McLaughlin.
As Steve Park said a moment ago, great run for Randy LaJoie, whose best finish this year of 4th, coming earlier in the year at Nashville, up at Opryland at the Nashville Speedway.
I tell you what, most of these leaders last pitted on lap 45, so pit stop should be coming up real soon.
Back at Pikes Peak International, 4th caution flag today comes out. Stanton Barrett's Channel Lock Chevrolet spins up in turn 4. And he is not a happy camper. Gets out and points to his helmet, trying to signal someone that, hey, use your head. Obviously, let's see if we can see what may have happened.
Looks like the 3 car gets a good run on the bottom, and just right there, looks like it just got into the back from a little bit. Maybe he took the air off the spoiler.
Looks like Little E may have given him a little help there in the turns. And Stanton Barrett, rightfully so, not very happy about that tap He was having a pretty good run in the Channel Lock Chevrolet for Doug Taylor. Well, as they begin to work on his car, the pit stops will become the order of the day. The double zero
pick up on the left side now.
has been out there 112 laps or so, Marty, on those tires.
Come on. Right here,
It's been absolutely amazing. I just was talking to the crew during the commercial break. I said, how many more laps can you go? And they said, we think we can make the full fuel run. We're going to get an idea when these 4 tires come off. But these guys did make 112 laps. You talk about some tire management. Old Buckshot gave us a great ride there. John?
Randy LaJoie's crew going to work, probably expecting a 4-tire change. Crew Chief Steve Bird makes a chassis adjustment, a wedge adjustment to tighten it up just a little bit on the left rear. Left side, now they grip off the tearaways to give him a clean view. In fact, NASCAR has given the teams 1 extra man. Buckshot is out now, but it looks like LaJoie will beat him because he's pitted closer down into the air. And that was his crew chief, Steve Bird.
How about that for excitement and emotion? Now, Matt Kenseth also made a great pit stop. He was actually out in front of LaJoie. Here is Dale Earnhardt in the car, Jr. in the car number 3. The Delco machine. You see Tony Erie in the crew putting tires and gas in that car. Well, the car number 17 was actually the first car off pit road.
A lot of these guys have had some good stops, including Randy LaJoie. I mean, you could hear Steve Bird. He was pretty excited that they got out there in front of the 00 car, so they must feel they must have a car that can possibly win this race.
All right, Marty, let's take a look at the leaders' tires that went well over 110 laps. What do they look like?
All right, well, here's the rears, and this is just garbage that they pick up on the lap coming in. Let's go over to the right front because there is some wear on the one side here on the inside part, so you can see it right there, just starting to get down. But this is 110 laps. These guys have got the combination figured out, guys.
Boy, Steve, that doesn't look bad at all.
No, that doesn't look bad at all. 110 laps with all the problems we've been seeing earlier on. These guys got that 00 Alka-Seltzer car hooked up.
Boy, give a call to Ricky Pearson and that crew. They have got him dialed in, and now the wrecker
is wrecking the 40 car.
Is basically, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
It's taking the rest of Stanton Barrett's front end off. All right, let's see if we can see from his bumper cam on the Channel Lock Chevrolet.
Let's see if we see the bumper move a little bit. If there was a shot, it wasn't a hard shot except for when he hit the wall. So it might have been a combination of taking some of the air off the spoiler and maybe just a little bit of a nudge, and he's definitely not happy.
Boy, he was not happy at all. He got out and pointed to his helmet as Dale Earnhardt Jr. came by. Boy, not a happy. After a great run in qualifying for that Channel Lock car, I'm told that Stanton Barrett may be able to drive that car some more when Kevin LePage is not available, and I'm also told that they may even consider putting Kerry Earnhardt in that car.
Yeah, that was rumored that Kerry might be in the 40 car, but here's Randy LaJoie heating up them new tires he's got, and he's pretty happy with his car, and we'll go down to the pits to John Kernan.
I just talked to Steve Bird. He said, yeah, they had over 100 laps on that set of tires. Looked at them, they were perfect. In fact, Birdie said, I wish this race would go green the rest of the way, because he said their tire wear is excellent. The only problem they've experienced, the car's been a little bit loose, but they made that wedge adjustment on the left rear.
Good stuff, guys. Really good stuff.
And they hope that has tightened it up enough so that Randy can stay out front.
All right.
If you look at Randy LaJoie's tires there when he was heating them up, you could see the actual low air pressure in the tires that is necessary to make these cars run 100 laps.
This time by 1 lap to go.
That left front looks like it's about half flat. All right, 1 lap to go. We'll come back for the restart. And what a shootout we should have here at Pikes Peak. Back with more as Jeff Crow is our leader in just a moment. Pikes Peak, 1 lap ago, we restarted, and the car number 74, LaJoie, puts the hammer down. And while we were away, the 3 car back on off pit road. As you watch Matt Kenseth now make a move on the inside. Kenseth will try to take the lead away from LaJoie.
Still out there, still out.
Matt's looked strong all day on the restarts here.
You're clear. Hey, bud, you be easy on those tires now.
You can hear Matt Spotter telling him to be easy on the tires. He's out in front now, and now he can set the pace of the race and really take care of them tires. And if he can go another 100 laps on that set of tires, he's going to get him to the end of this race.
Here's Buckshot in the 0-0 car now pulling to the inside of Wayne Grubb.
Bill out there.
Grubb is being shown a lap down. He is the first car 1 lap down in 20th position.
Bill out there.
Got 19 cars that are on the lead lap. Matt Kenseth, who was our pole sitter here, looking for his second victory in Busch Series competition. Once again, Buckshot trying to move to the inside of the lap car.
I think Buckshot liked leading all them laps. He wants to get back to the front as soon as possible and not be racing side by side with these guys and using up his tires. If he can get the tire where he got earlier on, he can what's up.
Got one looking low.
That's Elton Sawyer.
Clear all around you. Still out there.
They thought about 3 wide there for a second.
Buckshot spotter was calling the race for us. Had got one looking low. This is Elton Sawyer. We'll check in again with Mark.
Well, you mentioned Elton Sawyer. He's a man on the move. He also went 105 laps on his tires. So the 38 Barbasol Ford is going to be a player in this one before it's over.
Elton Sawyer told me he had a feeling. They had a feeling maybe this could be their day. He is running right now in 4th position. There's the Barbasol Ford as you look at the back of that car from the Brenton Stratton in car for Tony Stewart driving for Joe Gibbs.
I'm sure Tony was happy to come in and get some fresh tires on his car and hopefully loosen it up so he could drive that car. And right now he's running in the 5th position, and I think you see the race wear on. Way up in the top 5.
A moment ago, you could see on that in-car camera for Tony Stewart how the tachometer would go to about 7,000 RPMs and wouldn't drop off much because you don't lose much in these corners.
No, with the corners being so wide and so sweeping, they don't really lose that many RPMs in the corners, and that's why these cars that a lot of the short tracks they run a motor with a lot of torque. Here they run a motor with a lot of top-end horsepower.
See the tachometer just over his right hand there, about 7,000 RPMs, a little over 7,500. Now watch him go in a corner. Maybe.
Probably losing about 200 RPMs.
Not much at all. Speed pretty consistent as you see. He's trying to hold off the challenge of Elton Sawyer in the Barbasol Ford Taurus. Cars being shown on the lead lap. The last car on the lead lap. Pretty good run for Patty Moise. Driving the car number 14, the Rhodes Furniture Ford. She's been shown in 18th position. Still on the lead lap as you watch this battle between the 44 and 38.
79.
And that's her husband right there, Elton Sawyer.
So a pretty good day for that family. Elton Sawyer married to Patty Moise. Elton looking for his first win since 1994. He's got 3 cars. The passing goes very, very high.
I don't think it's going to hurt him, though. I think these guys have figured out that if they move up on the racetrack, it's not going to wear the tires so hard. It's not going to build as much temperature, and it might make them go 100 laps, like Elton did on that last set of tires.
All right, that's the 5th place car. The 6th place car is the 59 car. That is Ron Hornaday, and 7th is the car number 34. That is our points leader, Mike McLaughlin. 34, the Gould's Pump Chevrolet. But the points as of now, Matt Kenseth will take the point lead over McLaughlin by 25. Earnhardt Jr., LaJoy, and Jones. Here comes McLaughlin trying to make a move inside of Hornaday. Boy, Elton Sawyer would really gain that the points as of now. Hornaday's going to love this. He's getting a lot of experience on this racetrack. They had an open test for the Craftsman Truck Series trucks earlier in the week. Plus, they had an open test for the Busch cars on Thursday. He's running the Busch race. So when the trucks come back in July, he's going to probably have more laps than anybody ever thought about having on this racetrack.
Oh, without a doubt. And that's really what's on his mind. When I talked to him the other day, he was real happy to have the opportunity to drive for Steve and the guys, and to really come out here and run a full race right before you'd have to come out and run a truck race. We talked about earlier how experience is really going to play a key role here, so I think it's going to give him a good idea what to do with his natural truck.
We mentioned the 3-car just prior to the green flag had to go back down pit road. We were in commercial. He had to come back in the pits, and actually he had a problem fueling the car. They couldn't get, I guess the vent hose had come loose.
Yeah, they tried fueling the car, and they couldn't get the gas in the car, so when they came in, they looked at the trunk, and sure enough, the fuel vent had fell off the fuel valve, so they weren't able to open it up to let the air escape when the fuel was going in.
So he was at the very back of the longest line. He restarted from 18th and is now being shown in 10th spot. After 168 of 250 laps, Matt Kenseth is our leader. Back with more in just a moment. Well, back at Pikes Peak International, West, we are under caution for the 5th time today. The caution coming out of lap 168. Tough break for Mike Dillon, the Detroit gasket car. Those are the cars involved in the crash. Mike Dillon, Glenn Allen, Dale Earnhardt Jr. up in turn 4. Let's show you what happened here just a moment ago.
It looked like Mike Dillon just lost it and spun by himself, and then collected up a couple cars behind him, including Glenn Allen and Dale Earnhardt Jr. So I don't think Dale Earnhardt Jr. hit anything. Here's another look at it right here. We can probably see. He did. He touched the 59 car around Hornaday and got him turned around. And then Glenn Allen there was just a victim getting spun, trying to avoid it. And I think Dale just slowed down. I'm not sure if he hit anything or not with the right side. And then downshifted a gear and carried on.
All right, from the Peebles Department Store onboard camera from Hermie Sadler, watching behind. And Hermie just misses getting tagged by the 99 car as Glenn Allen slides to avoid it. There's the Luxair Chevrolet of 1996.
Gotta go.
All right, John Montz on the crew chief there.
42, watch your speed. Come on, go hard.
Track bar in the back. Looks like the rear's either cocked or shoved out the wrong way, where it's making the car kind of crab across the racetrack there. So you're going to see him back in another lap.
All right, one more look from Shane Hall's onboard camera, the Big A Auto Parts onboard.
What do you think he's thinking right now? I'm sure his spotter was telling him go low to get by it.
Oh, and he's able to make it by. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is in and John is there.
And Jerry, there is a little bit of front-end damage on Junior's car. They will change tires, and if I'm not mistaken, I think this will be their last set of tires under caution. Now, what they had to do, because you mentioned about how the vent hose had come loose off the rear of the deck lid, they have to stick a probe inside. They also make an adjustment on the left front of the car. And now they have the tire, and he is down and away. In order to get the fuel into the car, they had to stick a probe in to open up that little butterfly valve to allow the fuel to flow in. Otherwise, you get kind of an airlock in there of sorts. But they did the change, and now he's out on the racetrack again.
Got to let air out to be able to let fuel in, and that's the vent hose. And there's Glenn Allen, as you said a moment ago. Steve parked his car.
Just get the thing clear, get the tires clear of the fenders and stuff, and let's hit the inner wheel well.
Yes, and you're right. On his track, he is rubbing the right rear a lot, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do here. They're pulling out the right side fender well.
Try to fix it so we can finish it like it is. If we stop and change the truck arm, it's going to take us 40 laps. There's only 60 to go.
What you just heard the crew talking about what they're going to try and do. Can tell you exactly off to our distance there on the northwest. We've got some more raindrops, and the wind has picked up, guys. It's looking a little more threatening as far as the weather rolling in.
All right, the 99 car is still in the pits, and there are the spotters up on top of the grandstand and overlooking this good crowd as a few drops are falling. Back with more in just a moment. Back at Pikes Peak International Raceway, there's Johnny Norton and Carl Simmons on the flag stand. Well, there's a few raindrops on the windshield of Matt Kenseth, Lycos Chevrolet, and there are the dark clouds just to the northeast of us, actually northwest of us, actually all around us, if you want to be honest about it.
Yeah, it broke up for a little while there, but then the clouds moved in again, so hopefully it's just a passing shower. We can get back to racing, because this is really unfolding to be a great race.
While we are under caution here, as you take a look at the leader, we'll show you our field summary, and we'll see where your favorite driver's running. I want to talk to you, Steve, about your situation. We haven't got to talk about you being able to come back and drive up. When will you be back in a Winston Cup car?
Well, the preconceived notion is we're shooting for the Brickyard, but we've had some great news from the doctors, and they feel that after my last physical that I get in really just about 2 days, that if everything goes good there, that I might be able to get back in the car towards the end of this month, do some testing, and then maybe come back at one of the tracks that back up home at New Hampshire International Speedway. So that's really good news for Steve Park.
That's sort of like a homecoming for you, getting back. You're talking about getting back in the Pennzoil Chevrolet. Now, what about DW? Would he be back in the 17 car?
Well, right now, if we decide that we're going to be able to make the New Hampshire race and have sort of a homecoming up here, we're probably going to run 2 cars, because Darrell's really not scheduled to go back into the 17 car until the Brickyard. So we're going to try our hardest to field 2 cars. It's only going to be for 2 races. It's going to be for New Hampshire, and then we have a week off, and then Pocono. So hopefully it's something that we can feasibly do.
And you're not anxious at all to get back in that race car, are you?
I have been burning up to get back in that race car, and Darrell's been doing a great job for us and everything else, but it's something that I love so much that it's probably something that, you know, that this is the longest I've been out of the race car, and boy, I'll tell you what, I've missed it a lot.
And speaking of Darrell Waltrip, he finished 12th today at Michigan. What a great run for DW and the Pennzoil team. That race won by Mark Martin. Congratulations to Mark Martin. Take a look at the results of Michigan today. Mark Martin, great pass by Dale Jarrett. It was a tremendous battle the last few laps between Jarrett and Jeff Gordon for 2nd and 3rd. Jeff Burton back in 4th spot. They had a little bit of a miscue in the pits, costing some time. He winds up in 4th. Jeremy Mayfield, Bill Elliott. You see the rest of those: Bobby Labonte, Ward Burton, Joe Nemechek, and Wally Dallenbach. The first ride in the Budweiser car. Did a great job for that team.
Sure did, and it's hard switching drivers in and out like that and getting good runs, and that Budweiser team's done a great job taking a bunch of different drivers and putting them to the front of the field.
I want to mention the fact that ESPN magazine goes on sale Wednesday, June 17th, and they've got a candid question and answer section in that magazine. It's called Outtakes with Dale Earnhardt. And we got a little preview here, folks. That's going to be available on June 17th, where they ask Earnhardt, can you still intimidate? They ask him some very upfront questions, and some of the answers may surprise you. Some of them are pretty hysterical. We just read them here just a little bit ago, but how much does luck play in NASCAR? They asked Earnhardt, what did you say in Daytona when you climbed in that ambulance that was rolling over 2 years ago? What did you say to the guys to let you get back in the car?
I want to know what he said when he pulled the side window out of LaJoie's car at Charlotte.
And then one question they asked him, what does Jeff Gordon have that you don't? You'll be able to find out all the answers at ESPN The Magazine. On sale Wednesday, June 17th in the Candid Outtakes section. Still under caution at Pikes Peak International. Back with more in a moment. Well, a moment ago they had given the signal 1 to go to green, and then the rains picked up a little bit. It had stopped raining, and the traffic on the racetrack had kept the racetrack dry, but now they are once again waving that caution flag as they have displayed some of the umbrellas. They are battling over umbrellas down in the pits there. That's Buckshot Jones pits. They're covering some tarps to keep the pit road dry. And it's been just an absolutely gorgeous week out here in Colorado. We are about 20 miles, not that far, maybe 16 miles south of Colorado Springs, which is the home of the U.S. Air Force Academy here in Fountain, Colorado. Well, coming up later tonight, RPM tonight. At 9:30 Eastern Time, that'll include Winston Cup highlights, Busch Series highlights, and NHRA highlights. What a great day for motorsports. We'll have it all on ESPN2's RPM tonight at 9:30 Eastern Time. And of course, all week long, RPM tonight on each weeknight at 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. John Kernan, our host for RPM, one of our pit announcers today. And speaking of our host of RPM tonight, let's check in with him in the pits. John?
And I'm with Robbie Reiser. Robbie, you guys got the lead right now. Have a strong car. You sat on the pole, but a little bit of rain coming down. You doing a rain dance now to get it to just rain the rest of this out?
No, not at all. I want to race this thing to the end. You know, like Chevrolet's running really well, and the crew's doing a great job. Matt's doing a great job, and this is going to blow over. We're in the mountains here. It's going to blow over. So we just got to be set, ready to go when this thing goes green again, and be prepared. Right now, tires have been kind of the situation. We've been fortunate that we've been up on top of it and been able to keep them up front. So, I mean, he's doing a real good job, and we got an opportunity here probably with this caution maybe to go to the end. So we'll have to see how this works out. But I do have another set of tires I can use, so we'll see how it plays.
Talking about the tires, we've seen a lot of guys blistering tires here on pit road throughout the afternoon. Haven't seen any of your tires blistered. Why is that?
Well, yesterday we made, I should say in the morning practice, we made a long run. And evening we made a long run. And we were kind of prepared for this tire deal. We changed the car a little bit, trying to get it better on this type of tire, and that's helped us a bunch. Right now it's paying off. Like I say, we haven't blistered any tires up to this point, and I think it's going to get better as we go here. So I guess all the work's paying off.
But didn't you have to be worried yesterday morning after you did, what, blister some tires after about 43 laps?
Yeah, I was pretty excited about it at first when I saw it, because I didn't realize we had a problem. But then, you know, Goodyear worked back and forth with us and told us what they wanted done with the tires, with running 2 cycles into them and everything. So we went ahead and did what they all said, and right now it's working out great.
And has his driver at the front of the pack. And, you know, it was raining a little bit harder down here where I am at the entrance to turn number 1. Guess what, guys? It's not raining as hard now. Just a few little drops every now and then.
All right, the cars continue to circulate. We showed you that was Robbie Reiser, who owns the Lycos Chevrolet that our leader, Matt Kenseth, is driving. People may wonder, what is Lycos? We told you last week at Richmond that Lycos is Latin for Lycosidae lycosia, which means wolf spider. That's the Latin name for wolf spider. And Steve Park, why do they call it wolf spider?
I've had the honor to learn that the wolf spider has a distinction of hunting its prey rather than waiting in the wing for it to come to it, and it's very similar to the Lycos internet program.
Lycos is a search engine for the internet. It hunts out information you need. That's why we are being sponsored today by Lycos, the Lycos.com 250 Busch Series event. Let's go down to Marty.
Guys, we finally found the optimum job. I saw Nicole Allen, PR director for Buckshot Jones, grab an umbrella, and then all of a sudden one of the crew members grabbed you and threw you over here. They want you to protect the fuel, don't they?
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it dry today till it gets under the tent.
So it's the heck with you, keep the fuel dry.
Exactly, this is my job.
And guys, they're getting ready to move this out so that Nicole will be able to get out of the rain as well.
All right, that's Nicole Allen keeping that valuable Unical fuel dry here as we are waiting for a restart at Pikes Peak International Raceway. All right, the clouds seeming to move away. The rains have stopped. The track is drying. Hopefully we'll come back momentarily with green flag racing action. Matt Kenseth is our leader. All right, let's check in once again with John Kernan.
And I'm with Steve Bird. LaJoy, Randy LaJoy, your driver, second out there now, but does he have anything for that 17 car now that we're getting ready to go back to green?
Well, I think we do. After we run about 40 laps, the more laps we got, the faster we get going, you know. But I got to give credit to this Base Motorsports team, man. None of these guys ever gave up. And we'll say hi to the boss at home. We're trying for you, boss.
All right, Randy LaJoy looking for a good run, getting ready to go back to green. And Steve Park, you're from the
got plenty of time.
Country. 40, that means 40, right? 40 laps?
That's exactly
right. Car's in.
We're just laughing up here because it sounds like a lot of, sounds like the people.
Green.
All right, Carl Simmons, Johnny Norton wave the green flag, lap 187. So 63 laps remain in the Lycos.com 250. Matt Kenseth, who started on the pole, his first ever pole in a touring series of any kind in the 17 car. He is the leader. The 29 car is now being shown, or was being shown as the last car. Now he's a lap down again. That is Hermie Sadler. And here's Tony Stewart.
Tony Stewart's been on the move. I'll tell you what, they came in, got that new set of tires, made an adjustment on the car, and now Tony's on the move. He's unbelievable. You can see how good his car is handling. He was able to go high and pass on the outside, and now they're going 3 wide down the backstretch. The front shot down on the bottom.
And Tony
4 wide.
Jams on the brakes and nearly runs over Hermie Sadler in the DeWalt Chevrolet.
I'll tell you what, these guys are unbelievable. They are racing it out here after this restart.
There's Elton Sawyer's Barbasol car having a great run. He splits the difference between Sadler and Stewart. While all this is happening, Matt Kenseth is pulled to about a 10-car length advantage. Now here is Stewart. Looking to the inside. Mike McLaughlin says no, not going to happen there.
He took a peek down on the bottom side there, but again, I think he's being a little bit careful and knows there's about 50 or 60 laps left in this race. So he's not going to wear them tires out just yet.
It'll be exactly 60 laps to go next time by. Andy Santerre, leading rookie contender in the 47 car, being passed. And here is Shane Hall in the car number 85 in the Big A Auto Parts machine. Shane started back in 2010
surprised if those two just didn't touch right there coming down the front stretch. They were pretty tight, and that in-car camera shot gave it a good showing of them guys almost touching together.
All right, battle for third spot, right side of your screen, the 74 and 38. You heard Steve Bird say we might have something for him right now after we run your 40 laps, he said. But they need to get those tires to work in. Elton Sawyer's given LaJoie a fit.
I don't think you can have the best of both worlds here. I mean, I think your car's either real good on new tires and then fades too much on older tires, or your car's real good on the older tires. And I think that's Randy LaJoie's case. His car's going to be real good on old tires.
There's Dale Earnhardt Jr., the car number 3.
He's moved all the way up to 10th already. And looks like he's on the back bumper of Kevin Schwantz. Now going past him down on the low side.
The 8th place car would be the 10th car, the Duralube machine of Phil Parsons, who's having a great run today. That is 8th and 9th, the 10 and 3 cars.
Even with all their problems, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been able to come back each time. So, I mean, it just shows you how strong Tony Eury and the guys are and how fast they are in the pits.
The 59 car in front of the 83, that is Ron Hornaday. He is actually the 7th place car. That is the Kingsford charcoal machine. Battle for third spot. Whoa!
Clear, clear.
You heard him say clear, but it couldn't have been clear by that much. That was pretty close.
That was a sort of a premature clear.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely helped McLaughlin tighten up on the back and take the line away from Nope.
Great battle on the 1 mile oval at Pikes Peak International Raceway. Exciting Busch Grand National Series action on a Sunday afternoon.
Well, we promised some action if the rain would hold off, and I think the guys, or the people watching, are definitely getting their money's worth.
Arguably one of the best races of the year in the NASCAR Busch Grand National Series. Side by side again.
Inside, follower, clear.
Oh, and Elton Sawyer made that look easy.
He did, and that was surprised because Randy drove by him back on the outside the last time. I guess he taught Elton a thing or two, and Elton was able to overhaul him again.
Battle for 7th spot between the 3 and the 59. Earnhardt and Hornaday. Earnhardt will take the high route. Take 7th away. Hornaday 8th. Phil Parsons 9th. Action everywhere. Battle for 4th position.
It's our current point leader with Mike McLaughlin and Randy LaJoie. And Mike right now is running 4th and Randy's running 5th. And he's been swapping it back and forth lap after lap.
McLaughlin knows he needs to get a good finish here because Matt Kenseth, who's just 9 points back of him coming into this race, is the leader. McLaughlin finished 34th last week in Richmond, Virginia after having an oil leak. He capped the oil line, came back out and finished 34th, 5 laps down. But if he is to hang on to the Busch Series point lead, he will have to finish possibly the top 3 or 4.
Without a doubt. They said Mike was hot at Richmond, but that's ridiculous. The last 2 races there, he's had 2 cars go on fire. So he's definitely looking for a good run to get his finishes back on track.
52 laps to go on this 1 mile oval in Fountain, Colorado. Mike McLaughlin, the Gould's Pumps Chevrolet, is the 4th place car. The 5th place is LaJoie. Back in 6th is Tony Stewart. 7th is Dale Earnhardt Jr. 8th, Hornaday. 9th, Phil Parsons. And 10th, good run. We haven't talked much about Mark Green, but a good run for the Timberwolf Chevy.
He's had a great run. He's in the top 10. Hasn't really complained too much about tire problems, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a strong finish out of him too.
There's Mark Green. The colors on the car number 37. Mark had a good run. Finished 11th in the point standings last year. The car number 37 owned by Clarence Brewer. Kenneth Campbell is the crew chief on that machine as Ricky Pearson watches double off Buckshot. And likewise, we're watching the Lycos pits back at home. Possibly a preview of what you're going to see for years to come in NASCAR racing. A side-by-side battle for a couple of the young lions. They are battling for the 7th position. Dale Earnhardt Jr., the lead, they're calling him now, in the AC Delco Chevy. Inside of Tony Stewart in the Shell Pontiac.
these guys have been racing side by side for lap after lap here, and right there you just saw Tony Stewart get the lead ahead of Dale Earnhardt Jr., and I'm sure Tony Eury got on the radio and said, you guys can't run side by side without overheating your tires. Drop back, let them cool, get another run on them, and that's for 6th spot.
6th position being contested here. A little bit of a backfire on the left side of the Earnhardt car. Now, they are running for 6th and 7th. Neither one of them want 7th. They both want 6th. Here's our leader, the 17 car, the Lyco Chevy. I'll give you an on-track interval between Kenseth and Earnhardt Jr. back in 6th spot. And it's about 5.5 seconds. And Matt Kenseth has got that car hooked up. Robbie Reiser and those guys have done a great job. And of course, is a test driver for Jack Roush Motorsports. As you watch this battle again, Tony Stewart goes to the outside.
Just like two young guys, they don't listen to their elders, do they? They're back racing, touching each other, running into each other. These guys are fighting for position, and it's been pretty exciting watching these last couple of laps.
Now, when you drove that 3 car last year, did you listen when they talked to you?
Well, not all the time, but most of the time I listen. Tony Eury's got a lot of experience. He's won a lot of races with Dale Earnhardt in years past, and just comes with a wealth of knowledge. And when Tony talks, if you know Tony, you better listen, or you have to answer to him later on back at the shop.
All right, Tony Eury, 44-year-old crew chief of that 3 car. What a job they have done. Already 2 victories in 1998.
And then another good fact is that Tony Eury has taken, this is with Dale Earnhardt being the 2nd rookie, he's taken 2 rookies in 2 years and has a total of 5 races, which is a pretty impressive stat for a crew chief.
5 wins in 2 years. You won 3 last year, and they've already won 2 this year. Great action. The fans here in Colorado on their feet enjoying the side-by-side racing action. And here comes Phil Parsons. Now we'll see if Phil will make it 3 wide.
And we're coming up on a lap car here, and see Tony just squeezed past the lap car and kind of forced Dale Jr. to get back behind him.
All right, Phil Parsons, a Duraloop Chevy. If you look out the back of the Briggs and Stratton bumper cam on Tony Stewart's car, here comes the 3 cars. So that'll give you a little knock.
You can see that fender being knocked in a little bit, so he's not afraid to use that front fender, but if he gets that fender knocked in, that car is going to change the handling characteristic of the car, and I don't think they're going to have time to come in and make any more adjustments. They might even be on their last set of tires.
Look at that field summary. Kenseth the leader. Double O Buckshot in 2nd. McLaughlin was 3rd. Elton Sawyer was 4th. LaJoie 5th. And this is the battle for 6th spot. Best battle on the racetrack. Once again, they are side by side. Donuts on the sides of both those cars.
And if Benny was here, he'd be swinging his head around looking for him, wouldn't he?
Our buddy Benny Parsons. Boy, that's no give, and but it's pretty clean racing, though.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that with the way the cars have been handling here and with the way the tires have been, that they're not really rubbing on each other more than we've seen here.
Phil Parsons said, okay, guys, if you guys want to play side by side, play somewhere else. I'm trying to get around you here. I got a pretty good race car.
He does. He's got a great race car, and he can't decide where he's going to go because these guys are taking up both lanes and been side by side for the last 3 laps. So I think Phil's smart enough, or I know Phil's smart enough, just to sit back and wait for a lane to open up.
By the way, those of you who are big Phil Parsons fans, as we are, his wife Marcia still hasn't had the babies. We are told it'll be early next week. They will have 2 little ones, a little boy and a little girl. So we'll keep you posted on the baby watch. Update you on RPM tonight on how that goes for Marcia and Phil Parsons. Great action, 6th, 7th, and 8th spot. Shell, AC Delco, and Duraloop, the sponsors on those 3 Busch Series cars. Let's check in the Tony Stewart pit as he gets a challenge. Let's wait just a moment. A challenge from Dale Earnhardt. Let's check in with Marty.
Guys, I just talked to Brian Fraser. I said, are you worried about him burning up on this right rear tire? He says, no. We got too few laps to go. I've turned him loose. He's on his own.
Boy, great racing. I got to believe these fans are on their feet here, waving their hats in their hands. Good crowd on hand this afternoon.
They're definitely getting a leg workout because they sit down when the car's on the back stretch, and then they all stand up when the cars come down the front stretch and just cheering their favorite driver on.
And Phil Parsons has nowhere to go, but will he make it 3 wide? He says, nah, I've been around too long. I've read that chapter before. And now Tony Stewart retakes the position. I got to believe that's a preview of racing we're going to see for years to come in NASCAR. In the Busch Series and maybe in the Winston Cup. The likes of Dale Earnhardt Jr., Tony Stewart, and a great run by Phil Parsons. Back in a moment. Back at Pikes Peak under the 6th caution flag today. You see the reason there. Buckshot Jones tagged the wall. Marty, you're there in the pits.
Buckshot, who made 112 laps on that last set of tires, and here we are seeing a flat right front. Have not been able to see the condition of the tire that's coming off, but this has cost him his chance at victory today.
All right, Buckshot Jones was second, and prior to that tire cutting a tire, he brushed the wall over in turn 2. And just prior to that, a moment ago, Tony Stewart had a problem in the 44 car. You saw him racing side by side with Dale Earnhardt Jr. with Phil Parsons right behind him. Let's show you what happened a moment ago while we were in break.
Looks like he gets off in the corner, and Dale Jr. just gives him a little bit of a shot there and got him forced up high. Probably got tired of racing side by side with him, so decided that he was going to have to get underneath him and get ahead of him to carry on.
Well, Tony Stewart saved the car, got up across the racetrack, up in the marbles, held on to it, has not been back on the pit road. Thought he might have had a tire going down when the car got loose as it came off turn 4 that time, but it did not. He has fallen back to 9th position. So with this 6th caution flag today, we'll reset the field for you. Matt Kenseth is our leader. There's a 0-0 car, and Buckshot Jones. That's Ricky Pearson at the right front, pulling that fender away. You see what's left of that right front tire. There's Ricky Pearson.
We need to get out of the way.
Buckshot pulls away. And leaders are on pit road. Matt Kenseth. Here's Earnhardt Jr., LaJoie, Hornaday, Stewart, Mark Green, Curtis Markham as they're all in the pits. Let's go to John Kernan.
Matt Kenseth slides to a stop. Dale Earnhardt Jr. pitting 1 stall behind him. It looks like they're going to make a chassis adjustment. They screw down 1.5 rounds on the right side. Now they'll swing around to the left side. No fuel. Left side's coming off just a little bit slow on the left rear tire. Dale Earnhardt Jr. also getting left sides, as is Randy. The jack is down. Kenseth is down and away, and it looks like Elton Sawyer and Mike McLaughlin will follow him out, followed by Dale Jr. And a problem on Randy LaJoie's car. Looked like the right front tire. They left a couple of lug nuts loose, so the front tire changer had to go back and tighten the lug nuts on the right front tire for Randy LaJoie, and that cost him a lot of positions out there on the racetrack.
Well, once again, great pit work by the Lycos.
But you're just going to have to, I'll get you updated here. Hang on.
Lycos
Corey, I
team.
can pass 3 race cars. I just can't pass 10.
All right, they're talking to some of the drivers.
You can pass 3 race cars on old tires. I just can't pass a ton of race cars on equal ground. You know what I'm saying?
That's Matt radioing back to Robbie Reiser, telling him that he's not going to be able to pass a bunch of race cars, but with the pit work that he just received, I don't think he's going to need to pass a bunch of them.
Doesn't have much in front of him at all, except for the guy with the flashing lights, and he's in the pace car. Let's see who else has got up there. Phil Parsons opted not to come in. He was one of the cars that stayed out, as did the car number 4 of Jeff Purvis, and the 56 stayed out. That is the efforts of Jeff Crow. So those are the front 3 cars. Then Kenseth and Elton Sawyer rounding out the top 5. 221 laps complete. Back with more in a moment. Back at Pikes Peak International, the safety car pulls away.
Get ready and be on your toes. He said, move on. Come on, man. Green, green, green.
And Phil Parsons will lead him down. 224 laps in the books. So he had trouble with a couple of lap cars on the inside getting in line, but this track is so wide, it all sorts out pretty easily down in turn 1.
When that pace car dropped off, it didn't look like they were going to go green, and you heard the spotter say stay on your toes, and the green was out.
All right, Phil Parsons just 26 laps away from his win. as they are 3 wide coming out of turn 4. That brings the crowd to their feet.
This is exactly the race we wanted to see. They're 3, 4 wide and 3 and 4 deep. And Earnhardt.
Whoa, Dale Earnhardt is in the wall. Slides up. Still no caution flag. He went up across the racetrack and bounced it off the concrete wall. Got him a Pikes Peak stripe up there, and they've seen a little bit of smoke out of the right, so he's got to have a tire rubbing.
They're all around you.
They can't afford to pit under the green here, so they're going to take a good look at it, have their spotter take a good look at it, make sure they don't have a good tire rub on it.
And the 44 car also in the wall that time by. Tony Stewart has tapped the wall in the Shell Pontiac, and he gets a little smoke. The 34 car, McLaughlin, has come into contact.
Those guys, Tony Stewart and Mike McLaughlin, they were just rubbing hard down the front stretch here. I wouldn't be surprised if those guys didn't cut their tires down, rubbing on each other real hard.
They were battling for 4th and 5th position. Here is the points leader, McLaughlin, in. Here is Kenseth in the 2nd spot in front of Jeff Purvis. Now, Phil Parsons is the leader. Left side of your screen, the Duraloop Chevrolet. Car number 10, he's the leader. Kenseth, who was the pole sitter here in the Lyco Chevrolet, makes a move to the inside of Phil.
He's not going to be able to hold off Matt very long with those fresh tires, and I think Matt knows the importance of getting back to the front, knowing that he's got these other guys on his tail.
Phil Parsons has a lot on his mind. His wife Marcia back in Charlotte, North Carolina, expecting twins any day now. And he's trying to hold off and get his first victory in about 3 years, and Kenseth makes the pass. So Matt Kenseth becomes the new leader here with 23 laps to go. Mike McLaughlin had come on the pit road, by the way, for a pit stop and was held 15 seconds for entering the pits too fast. Although he had a left front tire down, they clocked him, I guess, too quickly and held him 15 seconds.
It's hard coming into pits at that scheduled pit road speed when you have a flat tire and you've been running so good. So it's you probably just go through a little bit in turn and receive the 15-second penalty.
There is the Kenseth crew. Robbie Reiser on team for the Lyco Chevrolet. He was the pole sitter here, clocked at 134 miles an hour. Last time by, his lap at 130.8. Still awfully quick.
Yeah, he's been real quick. He's been quick on old tires and he's been quick on new tires.
See if we can show you what happened a moment ago with the incident down there. All kinds of things. Watch the 34 car and the 44.
3 and 4 wide. And Dale Jr. got up in the loose stuff here. You could see the smoke coming from the back of the car and just got into the wall with the back of the car, and hopefully not bad enough that it knocked the tire alignment out.
A little bit different angle this time, head on coming out.
Right here, it looked like he got a little bit of a shot from Tony Stewart, who got him pushed up in the loose stuff. And right here, he can't turn the car. He's praying for it to turn, and then boom, right there.
All right, from Hermie Sadler's People's Department Store on board, looking back at it. Earnhardt just trying to avoid the back of Sadler so he doesn't run in all over Sadler. Gets his car skating up across the racetrack, and then, of course, 1 lap later, the 44 and the 34 had their troubles. Well, less than 20 to go here. The black car with the white number 17 on the side is the leader. The car number 10 is in 2nd spot. That is Phil Parsons.
And with 18 laps to go, I'm sure Matt's thinking if he can just keep that car smooth, he's going to have a good chance of winning this race.
Jeff Purvis in 3rd spot, but he's being challenged right now for 3rd position by the 38 car, Elton Sawyer. And Elton will take that spot away. Just coming out of turn 4. There's the Barbasol machine for Elton Sawyer. Great run.
He's been a busy guy this week. He tested down at Daytona under the lights for Felix Sabates, and then when he got done testing, had to fly right out here in order to compete in this event. So he's been a pretty busy guy, and I'm sure he's going to be tired by the end of this event.
Elton's best finish this year, a 4th at Bristol, Tennessee, in this exact same race car. And he is actually running 3rd right now. This would be his best finish of the year. Mentioned Purvis back and forth. Hornaday is 5th. LaJoy is 6th. That's car number 44. You're looking out there is in 7th spot. That is Tony Stewart. The 64 car, good run. That is Curtis Markham, subbing for Dick Trickle. Curtis's first Busch Series start here in 1998. And a great effort in that Snyder trucking car for Dennis Shoemaker.
And Mark Green's still in the top 10 running ninth right now.
And the 10th place car will be Mike Cope. We haven't mentioned Mike today. The Slim Jim Chevrolet for Team 34 Racing. Mike, the two-time All-Pro Series champion, now showing in the top 10.
Mike's had a tough beginning of the year running for Rookie of the Year. He's with a great team. He's a great race car driver. Hasn't had much luck on his side. And it's really good to be seeing him running in the top 10. Hopefully he can get his first top 10 finish.
There you look at the battle between the 44 and the 64. That is for 7th position. We mentioned Curtis Markham, 38 years of age. I'm told he'll run 3 or 4 events this year. The events that Dick Trickle will possibly miss, and he's now trying to take the spot away. Think he's rubbed a few people?
Yeah,
they rubbed him.
He's not out there just riding around that 64 car. He's racing hard, and then he's doing a great job for Dick Trickle and Schneider trucking.
All right, here's a battle for 5th position. 74 and 59, LaJoy, the FINA car.
Still there, Bassfoot, still there.
Ron Hornaday in the 59, not going to give it up easily.
Still there.
You can see they're coming up on the lap car to 66. And that's Elliott Sadler, and this might play a role unless Ron can get down right here. And LaJoy knows it too. That's why he keeps sticking his car in there.
Trying to make sure he can keep Hornaday up there in the high line, maybe make a shot on the inside of Sadler.
Still there.
They are still side by side. Give it to Hornaday by about 1.5 feet, and now LaJoy will have the advantage in turn.
Clear.
Sadler let him go to let him race it out towards the end of the race here.
Clear.
Look at this! Hey man, go get that 4 car, buddy. Go get it.
Talking to LaJoy, saying go after Purvis. Needs the car left side of your screen. The James Finch on Lance Snack's car. And that would be for 4th position. That would equal LaJoy's best finish of the year.
And I tell you what, LaJoy looks strong. I mean, he just pulled away from the 59 car of Ron Hornaday and just reeled Jeff Purvis in. So he's not sitting back either. He knows there's only a few laps left, and he's going to gain as many positions as he can.
Turn to go, next time by 10.
Call the inside. You'll pick it up right around the start-finish line.
You heard the spotters tell him 10 to go that time by. Randy LaJoy had been running in the Budweiser Winston Cup car. 9 starts for that team as he makes a move now, trying to take the spot away. That's the 4th position from Purvis. 2 veteran campaigners.
Clear.
LaJoy just zips on by.
They've been looking for something to really get their team back on track again, and a good finish here, I think, will really give these guys the opportunity to get back on track.
Dig, man, dig.
You heard Steve Bird say, dig, man, dig. Trying to see if they can catch the 38 car, which will be the 3rd place car. That is Elton Sawyer, who has had a great run here. Our leader, Matt Kenseth, still the 17 car. The 10 of Phil Parsons in 2nd spot. 3rd is Sawyer. 4th, car you're looking at right there, the FINA Chevrolet. Randy LaJoy. Got to believe Bill Bumgarner's back on the edge of his chair back in Charlotte cheering on his drivers.
Yeah, he definitely is.
There's the youngster Kenseth. Boy, what an impressive young talent he is. 26 years of age. Mark Martins, he's one of the most impressive drivers he's been on in a long time. And when Mark says that about you, that's pretty impressive in and of itself.
It sure is, and to have a person like Mark Martin take you under his wing and really try to advance you up through the Busch Series and then in the Winston Cup with an association with Jack Roush and everything else, I think Matt Kenseth's going to have a bright future ahead of him.
Mark Martin and Kenseth sort of like mentor, and the youngster, and Martin has already won today at Michigan. He and the Valvoline Ford won up at Michigan in the Miller Lite 400 earlier today, and maybe his understudy, Matt Kenseth, could pull it off.
I'm sure Mark's back at his motorhome right now watching Matt Kenseth trying to win this race here, so I'm sure he's pretty excited watching also.
He may have tried to hop in that plane and get back to Florida so he can sit back with Arlene and Matt and watch the end of this one. Mark, if you're listening, congratulations from us on a great run at Michigan. And we've got a great finish coming your way. 6 laps to go. And we're not going away at all. We're going to watch these final 6 laps of the Lycos.com 250. I'm Jerry Punch along with Steve Park, Marty Reed, and John Kernan covering the action in the pits.
I'll tell you what, Curtis Markham in the 64 car, he's really turned it up, and He's caught Ron Hornaday here, and it looks like he's going to put some pressure on him for the 6th spot.
38-year-old Curtis Markham making his first start here in 1998. Ran 2 years full-time in the Busch Series. Here's a battle for position, 3rd spot. LaJoie has caught Elton Sawyer. 4 laps to go. Sawyer now pulls him by half a car length. Once again, Kenseth is the leader.
Keep it rolling, buddy. Keep it rolling. He's inside you. Keep it rolling in that outside. You're looking good. Come on.
Randy LaJoie
Still inside. Still inside you. Still there. Still there. Still there. Still there. You want to go that way, Bruce?
We're letting you hear both spotters talk to both drivers. You heard the spotter say he's inside, he's inside. And now let's see if Sawyer can pull back to the inside.
Inside, inside. Clear, clear.
He dives the car to the bottom of the racetrack with 3 laps to go. LaJoie has a little too much muscle.
All right, 2 to go. Next time by, Randy. 2.
Randy's been extremely strong towards the end of this race. He's just running out of laps right now.
2 laps to go for 26-year-old Matt Kenseth out of Cambridge, Wisconsin, trying to pick up his 2nd Busch Series victory ever. Phil Parsons running in 2nd spot. What a great run for the Duraloop Chevrolet driver. 3rd place as we have a car in the wall. There's the 44 car, the Shell Pontiac. As the white flag comes out.
Nobody.
No caution, no caution.
Now they're going to have to race back to the win
wandering
here.
real slow on the inside there.
Tony Stewart was running in 9th spot. Here comes Matt Kenseth as the fans are on their feet. There is debris on the
He seems to be wandering around quite a bit.
Final lap for Matt Kenseth. He comes out of turn 4.
Okay, you're clear.
Beneath
Put on
the
the high
limping
side
car of Tony Stewart, and Kenseth will come down.
Okay, clear off. Nice job, Matt. Nice job.
Hi, boys. Guys, the true champions, man.
That's a happy bunch right there. And like Matt said, that is definitely the sign of true champions right there, without a doubt.
True emotion there in the pits. True emotion. Robbie Reiser and the Lycos crew. Let's go down there. I think John Curtin is running among them.
Good job, you guys. I'm real
With
proud
Robbie
of you guys.
Reiser. Robbie, congratulations. A great effort.
Thanks a lot. Lyco Chevrolet performed great. Couldn't ask for a better pit stop there at the end, and Matt did a great job. I mean, this is a great race team, and I can't thank everybody more. All the wives and all the people that are involved in this race team, thanks a lot. My wife Tracy and everybody, my son Ryan, thanks for all the support they've given me over the years.
2 wins this year, back in the points league. Can you believe it?
I've said this before. We're like every other race team. We start out in November and we work our tails off for that championship, situation. And we really felt we could do it after last season. We worked our way up in the points and got to the point where we were a real competitor there at the end of the season, and felt that if we really did our homework this winter, we could put a total team program together and come out and run for the championship.
Well, they did their homework over the winter very well. 2 wins this year, back in the points lead. Congratulations.
All right, Matt Kenseth will be in victory lane. We'll talk to him momentarily. Phil Parsons, LaJoie, Sawyer, and Purvis in the top 5. Back in a moment.
Back at Pikes Peak International Raceway, Matt Kenseth climbing out of the car. The crowd on their feet. The crew has made it. There goes the roof, and here goes the Gatorade. And there is one happy race car driver as he gets the accolades and now climbs down. Nice job, young man. We talked about tire management, and you did it.
That was awesome. First of all, I want to thank Chevrolet twice. Once for Rockingham and once for here. Second of all, Lyco's putting on a race. Tempest Resorts. Car was awesome all day. Robbie made a great call in the pits, built me a great race car here. They kicked out some killer pit stops, and car was flawless.
What about the tire management, though? What were they telling you all the time?
Well, the last set I was pretty concerned about. It started shaking pretty bad, and we were a little on the tight side, but I felt like we killed the right rear, so we couldn't decide whether to pit or not. It was a good thing it was closed because we were going to stay out. We put tires on, loosened the chassis way up, and it just went right back to the front.
Were you feeling any, we talked about this 2 days ago. I asked you, is there any extra pressure because, Lycos, they're sponsoring the race. They brought a ton of people here, and, you're doing all the glad handing. Was there any extra pressure really now that the race is over?
Honestly, for me, there's not. There's no way anybody could put more pressure on myself than I do put on myself for every race. So to me, it was just another race, but it's definitely special now that we won and had my first career pole and won the inaugural event at PPIR, so that's pretty cool.
Here's your winner, Matt Kenseth.
All right, our McDonald's winner's circle interview. Matt Kenseth gets his second win of the year, and boy, what a tough break for the car number 44 that finishes 14th, one lap down. What happened to Tony Stewart? Let's see if we can show you. Ouch, that hurts even to hear that. That was up in turn 2 with a lap to go, and the 44 car finishes in 14th spot. Let's go down to John Kernan.
Down here with Randy LaJoie. And Randy, we heard you tell Birdie on the radio after that, it's, man, I don't know how many cars I can pass. All things considered with these fresh tires, but boy, you passed a bunch.
We did. I got to thank Base Motorsports, FINA, Chevrolet, Monte Carlo. I got to say thanks to FINA. You know, we've had a tough year, and this is the first time FINA has a deal that we finish in the top 3. They get casual day on Monday. So this is their first time they're going to have casual day on Monday. So that's good for them. It's great for our race team. This is a brand new race car. And man, I think we had something for Kenseth there at the end. We got off a little bit in the center of the race, but right there at the end we were really good, and had a lug nut hang up in the right front and got us behind. So had to pass some cars, and I tell you what, we run good. I mean, it feels good to run good again. I got to thank Elton Sawyer. I mean, Elton Sawyer and Tim Feeder with those guys. I had to take off to run Michigan yesterday, and these guys jumped in my car and told the guys what it needed, and they fixed it. Man, it was good enough to beat those guys.
Now let's go over to Elton. Elton, Randy got around you there. I figured you would have not set his car up quite, you know, so much better than yours, but good finish for you.
Yeah, I guess I need to work harder on my car. Now, my guys did a great job. We had a great car all day. The whole Robertson team did an awesome job. Great pit stops. Goodyear had a good tire. They were up against the wall here, and they did a good job. But right there at the end, Randy's car was really good through 3 and 4. I didn't have anything to do with that. Those guys on the 74 were pretty awesome. But we were a little bit too loose on the last run, especially in the middle of 3 and 4, and I just had to run up high. But that's a good effort for us. We'll take 4th weekend off and go to the lake and play a while.
All right, sounds like a plan. Elton Sawyer, Jerry.
Well, what a great run for those guys. Phil Parsons equals his best finish of the year in 2nd spot. LaJoie gets his best of the season in 3rd, and Elton Sawyer equals his best of the year in 4th, with Jeff Purvis rounding out the top 5. Back with more in just a moment. Take a look at our full field rundown. Of course, Matt Kenseth is the winner. By the way, the 2 little arrows indicate he led the most laps. The other yellow arrows indicate lap leaders. Parsons, LaJoie, Sawyer, and Purvis rounding out the top 5. You will notice that there were 13 cars on the lead lap at the finish. Buckshot Jones being shown 18th, 2 laps back. And look at the point leader, Mike McLaughlin, in 20th spot. That's going to hurt as you look at the rest of the field. Steve Park updating the points. It's really going to hurt Mike McLaughlin having trouble here late in this race.
Yeah, and he really thought he had a good car to come in here, and you hated to see him, you know, get knocked out and finish 20th. So that's going to hurt him in the points, but I know those guys will be able to rebound.
Matt Kenseth takes the point lead by 73 over McLaughlin and Earnhardt Jr. LaJoie has a jump. Buckshot, Hermie, Phil Parsons after that great run, Jason Killer, Elton Sawyer, and Mark Green. Remember, next Saturday we go to Thunder Valley, Bristol, Tennessee, for the NASCAR Dash Series action at 4:30 Eastern Time. Then the NASCAR Craftsman trucks go out. The Load Handler 200 at 7 Eastern Time. That's Saturday, Bristol Motor Speedway at Thunder Valley. Coming up next is Sports Center. For Steve Park, Marty Reed, and John Kernan, I'm Jerry Punch. Once again, congratulating 26-year-old Matt Kenseth. He gave us some mile-high memories here at NASCAR Busch Series style in the inaugural Lycos.com 250. This has been a special presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. So long, everyone, from Fountain, Colorado. And again, congratulations to Matt.